You're listening to Best Furevers, a podcast for kindred spirits. A podcast that encourages you to love more on your friends and further consider the issues that plague friendships. I'm Alysa Lucas, and I got Ferguson, my orange tabby cat, on his kitty condo about a foot away from me. I have my big furry, whatever she is, cat, Rooney, laying on the floor on her back with her paws up in the air purring, and essentially everything is right in the world. This is my world, and this is my everyday world. It's me and my two best friends, Rooney and Ferguson. Yes, I call my cats my best friends, and I feel that way because I do spend so much time with them, and they mean so much to me. When I got Rooney, who I got first, was a time that was after my appendix burst, so was not feeling well, and also in a transition between being a PhD student to being a professor, but I was in a temporary position, so I didn't quite know what was going on, and so there was a lot of uncertainty. And when I knew that I was going to be staying at Mansfield University, I said, I absolutely need to have a living creature in my home, a living and breathing thing. And no, I'm not talking about plants because I'm not good with plants. They don't hit you in the face at 6:30 in the morning and tell them that they need food. Ferguson does that for me, though. But when I got Rooney, I learned from my friend Bia, who was on the podcast, that someone had 4 kittens, that the mom had basically just walked up onto someone's porch and basically dropped 4 babies right there, like, boom, here they are. And so they were looking for homes, and I was like, let's go check them out. They actually had an orange tabby cat, and I was like, that's the one, because I had an orange tabby cat named Tabby growing up. And when I got there, the orange cat was like, no, thank you. But Rooney crawled up, laid in my lap, and purred. And I'm sure I've told the story either on another podcast or in a Patreon clip or maybe even on the podcast already. But to me, that was when everything changed because Rooney chose me. And right away, I felt that she loved me, that she wanted me to be hers. And I had her from when she was a kitten baby until now. She is 8 years old. And man, she was the cutest little no-pound thing. And now she's a sturdy 18 pounds. But my world literally changed. You know, she was hilarious and a nuisance and annoying and loving. And she would climb my Paris Eiffel Tower, like Godzilla, and I was afraid she'd get hurt, and this or that thing. And when she jumped on counters for the first time, I was like, I have no control. She is the boss of me. And you know what? I guess we all like that a little bit. Sure, we love them and we clean up their poop, and that's okay. But we care for them. They are vulnerable. They are dependent, but they provide unconditional companionship and love. And I think that's why we love our pets so much. In fact, I think Rooney loved me a little bit too much and sort of was a curmudgeon, kind of indoorsy like her mom, if you will. And so when I would go away and the cat sitter would check in on her, Rooney wouldn't eat. And I was like, this girl, like, that's great. You love me, but I'm not that great. Like, eat some food. And so I thought this might be a time to get her a buddy. And that is when Ferguson came into the picture about 1.5 years later. I got him in December. I actually got Rooney on my birthday, so that was the best flag day ever. It's also our anniversary. And when I got Ferguson, it was December, and I took a lot of great care introducing the 2 pets together because I wanted them to be friends. So it's not just about the companionship that I have with them, but that they're buddies together, that Ferguson is good to Rooney and Rooney is good to Ferguson. And let's be honest, Ferguson's a little bit better to Rooney than the other way around. But I do think they love each other, but I wanted to take great care in that. And then Ferguson came in, and I swear to God, he's the only cat I've never seen sleep. For like the first year I had him, he was just like, what's going on? What are we doing? Where we're going? And he is just an absolute love bug. He's always with me. He's my shadow. He's become a part of this podcast because he is literally a foot away from me now. He is always here with me doing this podcast thing. He is on every single journey I go on, whether it's fun or not, or I'm crying, I'm laughing. He is certainly there. And Rooney is too. She's just a little bit more of an independent girl, And so I just really wanted to explore this idea. I do call them my best friends. And I know they're not humans. They're not going to provide or fulfill needs that, say, Kate or Tierney or Tara do, but it is something that I get from them that we don't get in other places, right? There's this level of affection, of not just giving the affection, but getting it back. That just petting a cat or having the cat lay with you and purr, there's such a sense of safety and soothing and care that they just make you feel better. And I hope that I've made their life a little bit better. But I really want to explore this idea of friendship. And so to me, this is a really important podcast episode. It is something that has a lot of moving parts and a lot of information. And it runs a little long, but I think that it's all good stuff and that we absolutely will be hearing more in the future. But what you're going to get is a couple different things. So you're going to get some interviews. I'm going to read some listener letters. And I have a clip that a podcaster sent in of her story of how she met her cat. And it's great. So if this sparks your fancy and you want to share stories about your pets or send me pictures, you can do so on all the social media platforms. I'm at Best Furevers Pod on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, on all of the things. You can send those to me there. You can join the group and post them there. Or just email me at bestfurverspod@gmail.com and send me some stories so that we can create some future episodes. So let's dig in, because here's the thing. Cats don't like waiting for their food, and neither do dogs, and so let's not wait for the podcast. So Sarah, would you describe your pets as friends?
So I thought a lot about this, actually. Spoiler for all you listeners out there, she gives us some questions in advance.
Stop giving all my secrets out.
Sorry. So I did think about this a lot, and I don't think they are, and here's why. I mean, don't hate me, everybody. Here's why. I think they're in a class unto themselves.
Yes.
Because when I think about the relationships I have that I would deem friendships, pets aren't really doing some of those things. Like, they're not going to help me move. They're not going to go to the movies with me.
They'll watch a movie with you on Netflix, though.
Yeah, they would. Similarly, I'm not super concerned about, like, your eating or pooping habits.
But what if I was like, Sarah, well, that's interesting considering all the poop we talked about on the episode you and Jen were on.
I know. You're hitting me with some facts, and it's really breaking down my beliefs here.
Yeah, I got my receipts.
But I did look up because I was like, well, what do other people think? And so I actually Googled.
Okay.
Can you be friends with your pets?
Yes.
And I found a WikiHow of how to be friends with your pets. And
what did it tell you?
Well, it told me lots of things. The pictures said a lot that the words could not. And I will send it to you because it's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay. I'll put the link in show notes too.
Yes, I think you should. I'm going to show you the pictures, but they're kind of ridiculous. First things first. First, you have to do things like establish confidence. Be calm, be patient. But the looks on these animals' faces is like, bitch, you aren't going to tell me anything. And so at one point, they say, it really is better to just think of your cat as a weird roommate. And I was like, I don't know that this is really being helpful. But certain guidelines in here, be the boss. Yeah, I'm probably not doing that with my human friends.
Yeah.
Never use violent actions. I mean, that's always a good rule of thumb for anything, let alone your pets. So I'm definitely going to include this link so other viewers can look at it because the pictures are worth 1,000 words.
Maybe 1,000,000 talking about.
They're worth a lot. So I kind of think pets are in a relationship all unto themselves because they don't really have anything to gain besides just loving you and being a part of your life. And so, and not to say every one of my friends has ulterior motives, but the push and pull of a relationship is different with someone whose sole goal is to just love you. So,
and Ferguson, that is not his goal right now, buddy. Do you see his face?
Yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
He's playing with the toy that hangs on a door, and he doesn't play with it until I start podcasting.
He knows.
Buddy, come here. It's about you. Come here. We're talking about you.
He's like, I'll pass.
Weird roommate.
Yeah, right? Weird roommate. Loves you and then hides for like 3 days.
Yeah, now he's licking himself,
just
so
grooming
perfect.
So I'm going to say I left it kind of torn as to whether pets are your friends, because I think in some ways, yes, they definitely are the companionship type piece of it and the kind of there for you to support you. But, you know, again, I don't know. I think they're in a category unto themselves.
So then what do you think they provide other than companionship?
I mean, I think that they love you. Like, if you're sick or something, I tend to get all my animals nearest to me when I'm not feeling well. And I know that they love me because when Bob realizes I'm home, Bob Barker, my dog, when he realizes I'm home, like, he gets so excited.
He's like, take me on my walkie.
Tap dances down the hallway.
Take me on my walkie.
You know, so I know they see me as a safe person. You know, I think they see me as their buddy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think they're just in a different, almost better category. Except for that rascal over there who won't stop playing with that toy.
And then Rooney, who's like giving me the eye from the floor. You guys are not into podcasting today, are we? You're so cute, though. So then you've had several pets, you know, and you have Bella and Bo are still hanging. You got Bob Barker, and you have the Von Fluffington sisters, Mitzi and Harlow.
Correct.
And so what made you want to grow your pet family?
So I had, in grad school, found a picture of a Pomeranian in a sailor suit, and I was in love. And I had put on every one of my weekly reports a picture of this Pomeranian in a sailor outfit. And I was like, and I'm going to call him Mr. Lickers. And everyone's like, what is this girl's deal? And so, so 2006 to 2008 was when I went to grad school. And then I adopted Mr. Lickers in 2010. And I was... If you can think about it as an impulse purchase, it kind of was. Because my friend Jen, who you met, if you've heard these before, knew that I loved Pomeranians. Yeah. She had been watching the site because she wanted to adopt an animal. And she sent me a picture of this cute, adorable Pomeranian dog and was like, what do you think? And I was like, I need to go see that dog right now. Oh, wow. Like, I need to go.
Immediately, drop everything.
Immediately. And I was like, I love this dog. I've never met this dog. I need this dog in my life. And they were closed.
Oh, no.
And so I had to go back the next day, and I went, and his name there was Rusty, and I was like,
what?
No, we're not doing that. And so it was just, again, it felt like fate. It felt like a moment because I was I'd never really experienced dogs. I mean, besides Barney a little bit. Again, didn't really have memories of him. And so, but I was like, I'm doing it. And so I went and I asked my boss because I was still working in housing and I had 2 cats in this like 500 square foot apartment. And I was like, can I get a dog? And he was like, I mean, can you handle the dog? And I was like, yeah, I think so. And he was like, oh, okay. Which that just doesn't happen in housing. Like if there's res life professionals listening, they're going to be like, what? And so I went and I adopted him, and they kind of broke like all kinds of rules because the cats weren't like up to date on their rabies shots or whatever. And they're like, it's fine. We trust you.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And like I signed it off, and he had been brought back twice. Yeah. And so they're like, this has got to stick. Like, you can't bring him back. And I was like, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Yeah. And so I put him in the car next to me, and he like walked over and sat on my lap on the whole way home. Yeah. And I was like, we're going to be best friends forever.
See? Best friends forever.
Oh, she got me with my own language, my own story.
I'm sitting over here waiting.
Pounced on it. You got it.
Yeah, just like a cat.
But I remember, like, my friend at grad school had helped me kind of get some supplies in order because there was some time. But so I had the cage already set up. And so I brought him in, and he is all smiles, like, I'm so excited. And then Bo comes running out, like, you're home. And he sees the cat.
Or sees...
I'm sorry, he is the cat. He sees the dog, stops, stares at the cage, and starts slowly moonwalking back off the dining room table.
Billie Jean,
like,
not my love. Right out of there.
Yeah, right out of there, and then ran. And again, I had no idea what I was doing, but it just felt right. It felt like a good decision, and I've adopted more animals since then. because once you kind of get a dog, you just can't keep dogs in your life, I think.
Yeah.
So when Mr. Lickers passed away, and well, actually, I had to put him down, which is terrible.
Yeah.
But when he left, that was 2015 in September, and I just it was a different energy in the house. Like I just kind of missed that type of companionship. Like we could go in the car together. Yeah. We could go on trips. You know, like
the cats are like hard pass,
right? You know, like we'll stay here. It's okay. And so I was like, well, I kind of want, I think, another dog, and I was gonna get another Pomeranian, and it just didn't quite work out. And because I'd wanted a female to call that dog Mitzi Von Fluffington, actually. I often pick the names out in advance of
clearly
the animal. And so, but then I saw a Bob, and his name was Simon. And first names are always so wrong.
Who are these people? Ferguson was Skipper.
No.
Rooney was always Rooney because her mom just went up on someone's porch and dropped a couple kittens. Badoosh!
Dropped it like it's hot.
Dropped it like it's hot.
That's
dropped four of them like it was hot, and then just stayed there.
She was like, I'm parking it here. This is mine now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so saw his picture, and I was like, well, he's kind of cute. I went to meet him in a PetSmart. Mm-hmm. And during one of those adoption events, and he was so like, what is happening? And I felt kind of pressured because I had driven by my parents' house, which is 2 hours away, to meet this dog, and like had worked it out. And I was like, I think I gotta like this dog. I don't know. And I mean, he seemed sweet, but he seemed really overwhelmed. And after I adopted him, I was like, I've made a terrible decision. Like, I don't think we're gonna be friends.
There's the word again. It's like
right. Your pet's your friend. I was like, I don't think we're gonna make it. And so, whereas Mr. Lickers was that instant connection, he was kind of like that, that friend relationship, I guess, that grows. It's like
slow burn.
Cool.
He was like the Mad Men of dogs.
Yes, he was.
That show took forever to heat up, I'll tell you.
Yes. But once it did, and now it's like, hey, let's go for a ride. Okay. Like it's
Bob's
just
the best.
Yeah,
I love
he's
Bob.
adorable. And again, they go through a lot of trauma and uncertainty. And so I get it. Like I get why you're maybe like, who is this lady? What's happening? This is very different from my life. And he was surrendered versus Mr. Lickers was abandoned. And so, but you had asked me, rounding back to your initial question, why do I keep expanding the pack? And I think I'm in a good position with my life where it's at. I don't have a ton of chaos. I have a good home. I can give them a good life. And so it's kind of like, well, why not? You know, I knew before adopting the kittens, I could not have another dog. Yeah. Like the work and effort that goes into I was like, that I can't do. Yeah. But 2 cats, it felt super easy. I don't know why I thought that when I still have 2 cats. So I have 4. So
plus Bob.
I know, plus Bob. So, gang's all here. Last night, all 5 of them were on the bed at the same time. And I barely had room for me. Yeah.
They're like, you didn't want to get in here with us, did you?
Right. We're going to pin you down and you're going nowhere. Hope you don't have to potty. So it's just, I think I have love to give, and there's plenty of animals that need good homes. Yeah. And I kind of thought, well, why not? Yeah. Which, again, you should never impulse purchase animals. Please don't let that be the takeaway lesson. But if you evaluate your life and you think, I could give love and a good home and everything, I would encourage you to adopt or rescue.
It reminds me of all people, Bob Barker on The Price is Right.
That's right.
Spay or neuter. Like, that's what right. I remember about The Price is Right. You know, it's like, there are so many dogs and cats that need a home, and that is still the case. And it's like, like if there's a PSA, it's not impulse buying, or it's not like getting an animal to put a Band-Aid on a different type of relationship, or it's not to just have things. If you're not ready and committed, that can then create a lot of situations like Ferguson here, who's showing us his butt right now. Thank you. He was left on the side of the road because he was apparently too much, and he's the sweetest cat in the whole world. Of course, Rooney's never known anything different from me because she was dropped on a porch when she was born and then like was cared for 6 weeks and then came home to me. So, and she's never left my side. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, I also want a dog, but for me, you know, talking about evaluating life, it's like, for me, the cats are a good fit for me. And I also had names picked out beforehand. They're named after my soccer folks, of course. But, you know, I'm hoping that they'll allow a dog, but I don't think Rooney's going to approve my application. She's going to say, I see you submitted a proposal to add a dog to the family.
Denied.
But
she gets along with Bob Barker, though. I mean,
does.
She's surprisingly better than Ferguson.
Yeah, Ferguson's kind of scared of him.
But
he gets along with people very well.
And I will say it really depends on the dog because Mr. Lickers was a total D-bag to Bo and Bella. He was a one-person animal, and they were kind of treading on his turf, which was me. And it was like, I don't know who you are, but you better back off.
Yeah.
Back off.
So what I love about the interview with Sarah is that it's like, we're not friends, but then she calls them friends at least twice. And so I think that she's right, though, that it's a different level. And I think that we can sense that whether it's an instant connection or sort of a slow burn, if you will. And I think that was the case for Alysa, who is a podcast host at Not Your Little Lady podcast. It's a wonderful podcast. She was the promo last week. So if you listen to that episode, then you heard her promo, and hopefully you checked her out because, as I mentioned in that episode, I sort of geeked out on her on Twitter. So I'm so glad she sent in this great story about how she met her cat Wednesday, which is one of the greatest names I've heard. And she has a great story to share. So let's go hear about Alysa. And Wednesday. We have to hear about Alysa and Wednesday.
Hi, this is Alysa from the Not Your Little Lady podcast, and here's a story of how I met my pet. I'll title it Me and My Pretty. The night I found her was pretty ordinary. I can't remember how long I've had her, which I guess means it's hard for me to imagine life without my best friend. Her name is Wednesday Baby Girl Carter, and she's the fluffiest, most beautiful black cat you'll ever meet. The night we met was a hot summer night in Alabama. I believe it was a Sunday, and me and my roommate had set out for a 10-minute walk to one of 2 bars in town for burgers and a drink. On that night, we walked past the town's Methodist church, and we saw the tiniest little fluff ball rolling around one of the markers dedicated to a church member who had passed. She was meowing up a storm. Surprisingly, she didn't run away. She let both of us pet her and pick her up. And my goodness, was she the tiniest little thing. Basically just skin and bones. And from that, we knew there was absolutely no way that somebody had been feeding her and taking care of her. She was far too small. So I immediately asked my roommate if we could keep her. My roommate owned the house, so she pretty much could dictate whether or not I had a pet. And we already had one cat, so you know how that is. Bringing one cat into the same home as another can be a little iffy. But she said if the kitty was still there when we came back by from getting a drink, we could take her home, or at least try. So we kept on our way to the bar, and throughout the whole meal, all I could think of was that precious little cat and how much I love black cats, Halloween, and all things spooky. Plus, I was really searching for a companion. I had been single for a good amount of time and have incredibly bad taste in men. So getting a sweet little black kitty cat would have been, and it has been, a much better option. So we only stayed at the bar long enough for a meal and a drink, and then we headed back towards the house and the church. As we approached, we thought she had moved along, but within seconds of hearing us, she started up her little angelic meowing. After petting and holding her for a bit, we decided to put her on the ground to see if she would follow us home. Serendipity, you know? And would you believe that with us responding to her meows with meows, she followed us a good 8-minute walk all the way back to our house. And can we take a pause for a second and have everybody imagine 2 adult women meowing at a cat and having it meow back at them for a good 8 minutes? I'm kind of glad no one saw us. But once we got home, we gave her some food and she never left. She's been with me ever since. And I decided to name her Wednesday because I've always been a fan of the Addams Family, and Wednesday just seemed to fit her. And it especially fit her those few times I caught her on top of the neighbor's house chasing the bats that were flying in and out of the chimney. In the time she's been with me, we've developed quite a friendship, transitioned her from an outdoor to indoor cat full-time, and we moved states. As I write and record this, she's sitting by my side. I think she was destined to be mine since I'm a photographer and black cats are pretty hard to photograph. Speaking of photographs, in celebration of her being such an amazing companion in life, I post new photos of her every Wednesday to my Instagram account. You can see them under the hashtag WednesdayBabyGirl or WednesdayCuteWednesday. And she's actually the reason that Not Your Little Lady, my podcast, is released on Wednesday. When we were discussing the release date, I remembered that I had spoken about her in the first podcast because I talk about her way too much. And everybody who knows me knows that. I don't care. But anyways, so I talked about her in the first episode. And so I was like, well, why don't we just release it on Wednesday so we can have Wednesday in it and it's released on Wednesday. But all that to say, I really love having her. She's probably one of the best things in my life, and I love coming home to her and hugging her and cuddling with her and buying her the most expensive food so she has the prettiest coat. And in those photos, you'll be able to see how, I think you can see her personality and how sassy she is, because she, for a long time, was a street kitty. Oh, I forgot to mention, too, when we found her, I took her to the vet, and they decided that she had been living on her own for 6 months to a year. You want to say bye, Wednesday? Thanks so much for letting me tell my story about how I met my kitty cat.
Y'all, you need to follow Wednesday on Instagram and check it out. Hashtag WednesdayBabyGirl. And I love that her show is released on Wednesday because of the cat. And that is a great... It's like she knew the meow, 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 I want that baby. And you know what? Allison's story spoke to me. I'm also single, and there is a lot of joy that animals, I think, can bring while you are living your life or going through the process of relationships or in and out of relationships. And sometimes it's just like, do I want to go on the apps and look for people, or do I want to just like Netflix and hang out with my cats? It's like, where's the greatest joy going to come from? And so, I mean, I don't know. Allison, Wednesday, you speak to me. You speak to my heart and my soul, and we might be kindred spirits, but I certainly know one thing, that Allison and Wednesday are kindred spirits. So next up, I talked to my mom about her first dog, a Baxter, and this is the first dog she could call her own, and so she talks a lot about him and a few other pups in the Lucas family. So here's my mom. Mom, tell me about Baxter.
Well, Baxter was the first dog that I actually considered to be my dog.
Mm-hmm.
My husband and your dad always had dogs around him, and he sort of picked them out. And
He's the dog whisperer
Yes,
slash
he is.
pet whisperer.
Yes, he is, but not me. So what I did is I looked on the internet to look about dog breeds, et cetera, and we always had huge dogs, like Irish Wolfhound and Coonhounds and Airedales, so big dogs. So
You forgot Irish Setter.
Yeah, well, yeah, we had those too.
We had two, Brandy
I
and
said
Margaret.
we had those too.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Just checking.
So, I researched online and I found a group, a listserv for Welsh Terriers. And I joined the listserv.
Yeah.
And these people were so fun.
Yeah.
They had parties.
They
would get together once a year and have a picnic and a day, and they'd have auctions of Welsh Terrier things. And on the listserv every day, people would be talking about problems or some of the fun things that they did or not. And we actually, so I actually decided that then I was going to get a Welsh Terrier.
They look like, just for people's point of reference, they look like Airedale puppies.
They look like, they're the size of a Schnauzer.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
But they look like Airedales.
Yeah. Everyone always asked if Baxter was an Airedale puppy. And it's like, no, that's full grown.
So I had to research and find out where in Michigan there were Welsh Terriers, et cetera. And so I found a lady in the Grand Rapids area, and I had to pay up front. And the list suggested that if we had female dogs, that it would be better to have a male Welsh Terrier because Female Welsh Terriers are pretty aggressive. And we already had an aggressive female. So
who is that, Cindy?
That was Cindy.
Our coonhound.
So I put my money forward towards a boy. And on May 2nd, I get a phone call. Your son is here. Your boy is here. Your boy is here.
Aww.
So after about 3 weeks, I got to go over and watch them all. And then I got to pick out the one I wanted. And she painted his toenail so that I would be sure I would get the right one.
Did he come up to you? Or or did you notice him right away?
I noticed him right away. He was the one I wanted right away. There's something about that. Yeah. So then I was able to pick him up at 8 weeks, and we brought him home, and he was the cutest little thing. He was the most fun dog ever, but he loved the water.
Oh gosh, my dad would do like spray the hose in the backyard, and the dog would chase it and come up and then right in his mouth.
Try to catch it in his mouth. I thought the dog would drown.
He was so sassy. Like he was just like
attitude. He's a dude.
He was a dude. Yeah, he was our first male dog, and so we totally genderized him. I remember going to like a dog show in the Portage area or Kalamazoo, and we bought him a squeaky toy that said Stud Muffin on it, so that was his nickname. Hey, Stud, right?
Yeah. Or dude.
Yeah, so we totally genderized, but he had a lot of attitude.
He had an attitude, and none of these big dogs scared him.
Yeah.
A bit.
Can you tell us about the bad boys?
Yes. All right. So the listserv that I belonged to, we would write stories about things that our dogs did and whatnot. And there was Rusty the Roofer. And Rusty the Roofer somehow got out the window when the lady was cleaning windows and got out on the roof of...
So a literal nickname.
Yeah. But Rusty was a bad boy. And that's what the lady called him. She called him a bad boy. And she was defrosting a turkey in the kitchen sink for Thanksgiving. And this dog, mind you, the size of a schnauzer, dragged a 25-pound turkey out of the sink and onto the floor. And so there were many Rusty the Roofer stories, and it was just always fun to open up your email and have something fun in it. And then there was Baxter in Toronto.
Oh, there was another Baxter.
There was another Baxter. And Baxter was awful. Not our Baxter. The other Baxter.
Yeah.
He got into more trouble, and the stories, the owner's name was Bill. He got into so much trouble, and it was so fun reading these things. And I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm so glad my dog's not that way. Until the day that he stole the knife off of the kitchen table and was running around it between his teeth. And he looked like a murderer with this. Yeah. So I wrote the story on the listserv because I thought they would like it. Well, this made the third bad boy. So they had the Bad Boys Club.
Bad Boy Backs. And can I just pause for a second? Ferguson has grabbed knives off the counter and run around with them too.
Yeah, it was uncanny.
I think it's Rooney better sleep with one eye open.
Well, we couldn't catch him. Anyway.
He was always out the door. Bye.
Yep. So he did that. And so as the listserv is still up.
Yeah.
And it's been years and years since I had Baxter.
Yeah.
But the listserv is still up, and they continue to do some of the things. One of the things that I did, we did a quilt for one of the little girls who had a Welsh Terrier. Yeah. She had cancer and treatments, and she missed her dog so much. So all the people in the group did a quilt square.
Oh, that's awesome.
And sent it to a lady in the group that did quilting and presented it to the little girl when she was in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then we made posters out of that. So I have a poster of
the quilt squares.
Quilt squares that were given to this little girl, and it just made all the difference. And she did go into remission. So
yay, woo. Well, that's the thing is it seems like through this group, like you were able to find friends for yourself, right? Yep. Other people that is a group of Welsh Terrier lovers, and they all had their their pups and their stories and if they were part of the bad boy crew or not.
Yeah. And they wrote up a history of this, and it's on a CD. And
CD?
Yeah, and a CD.
Can we stream this or what?
No. But anyway, it was on that, and Baxter is in history now. He's archived as being one of the original bad boys.
Aw, Baxter. He was a good boy. He was a sassy boy.
Yeah, he was one of the bad boys. So that was always fun.
Well, I was going to say, so you have, these friendships with people in this group. Did you ever consider Baxter to be a friend? Or a companion? Like, how would you describe what Baxter meant to you?
Baxter was a lap dog. And none of the other big dogs were my lap dogs. Although the Irish Wolfhound did.
She would back up.
She would back up and sit on Jim's lap, and you couldn't even see Jim.
Yeah,
but she'd just back, and her butt would sit right on his lap.
Yeah,
and it would look like there was a wolfhound sitting there.
Yeah,
but Baxter would crawl up with you. He'd crawl up and lay on the bed with you.
Yeah,
he didn't. None of our dogs ever slept with us, but he did lay on the bed if you were reading or whatever, or come up in the morning and
wake you up
and get up on the bed and lay down with you. So unfortunately, Baxter got really sick when he was 5, and we did a lot of emergency type stuff for him, but he had to be put down. He was only 5, so that was a really big loss.
Yeah,
to me.
short amount of time with
especially when he had the lifespan of a Welsh Terrier is over 12 years, and this was just before his 5th birthday, so that was pretty sad.
I forgot he was only 5.
Yeah, and then the rest of the dogs have all been my husband's. Every once in a while, I get to name one, but I just got a new puppy.
Oh, yeah. Tell them about Princess Penny.
Well, we have Jake, who is a black lab, very tiny black lab, and he's quite shy. He always has been quite shy, but he's so nice and friendly. He is such a sweetie. And we had Henry, who is an Airedale. And Henry died last year in his cage right next to
his house.
His house is what we call him at home. Go to your house. So he was in his house, and that really upset Jake. And he just was really depressed and whatnot. And then in about January, February of this year, he was attacked by a pit bull and was injured quite badly. And that really put him into a funk. And the vet told us that it would probably be better to get another dog. Well, I could see your dad getting another one of these monster dogs. And so,
is there a bloodhound? Can I get a wolfhound?
Yeah, he loves the wolfhounds, and anyway.
He wants a Goldie, though, I think, a golden retriever.
He's not getting one.
Oh, snap. Shots fired.
Yeah. Well, so what I did is we went to a couple of the pounds, and they were all pit bull mixes, and I'm sure there are very nice pit bulls out there, but I'm terrified now after what this dog did, so I don't want anything to do with the pit bull.
Jake would probably be traumatized too, so it's probably not a good idea anyway.
So we came home, and I just looked online to see what was available, and then I went to Pet Finder, and you can leave a request for what you want. And so I, within 50 miles and whatnot. So I did that, and I looked every day with the 100 dogs that were new every day, which is really sad.
Yeah.
That there are 100 new dogs out there to be found and to get a forever home. So what I did would go through that. And then one day, this terrier mix just popped out at me.
Yeah.
And so I communicated with them, and they said, no, they still had the puppy, and it came from Mount Pleasant.
Oh, hey.
So I'm thinking I'm driving.
Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Let's get that dog, right?
And I'm thinking, oh, that's cool. Alysa,
it's a Chippewa. Fire up.
Alysa lives there. We can just go up and get this dog, et cetera, except that this dog was from Mount Pleasant, Texas.
Boo.
And the fact that they had him in Michigan, and he was only 6 months old.
Yeah.
She was only 6 months old. And it had the sweetest little face. I just fell in love with her little black nose. So I communicated back and forth with the Humane Society that was down in southern Michigan. And sure enough, after I told her about my terrier history with Airedales and with Welsh Terriers, and all of my animals had been rescued, and they called my vet, and they said we were good parents.
Yeah. You've been at that vet for how long?
40-some years.
Yeah. Longer than I've been alive.
Yes. So so we said we made an appointment to go down on a Saturday to look at her. Well, yeah, look at her.
Yeah,
Bring
I was
her
like,
home.
Yeah. Reminds me so they have 3 cats too, and they have a black cat, Thomas, who just kind of rolled into the garage, and they're like, well, this cat walked in, and we're going to, take it to the vet and see what the next step is. And I was
see
like,
if there's a chip.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, so when this cat comes back and becomes part of the family, how many years ago was that?
Oh, about 5.
I knew as soon as that cat rolled up, I was like, that cat's got a new home.
So anyway.
Yeah, so Penny.
So Penny came into being, and she is the funniest dog. One ear goes one way, and her fur, she's got cowlicks, and she is the happiest little dog. She hasn't quite learned about outside yet.
She's working on it.
She's working on it, but I heard Jim say yesterday, we're not speaking.
Uh-oh,
So
trouble.
she must have had a little accident in the house, but she's so cute, and I'm going to take her to obedience, but she just is such a fun-loving dog, and it's just brought a whole new lease of life to Jake.
Oh, yeah, they're best buddies. So
They're
Jake and
best
Penny
buddies now.
are best buddies.
They wait for each other. When you send them outside, you have to go up 4 steps to go to the backyard, and they wait for Jake goes out first.
Yes, that's a must.
He gets to the top of the stairs, and he waits for Penny to come out.
What a gentleman.
And then they go out together, and they circle the yard a couple of times, and then each goes their own way to do their own thing.
Well, so it's just amazing to me that it's like, you think about your Welsh Terrier group, humans making human friends, and then you have dogs who are friends to dogs, but then like the human dog or the human cat connection, because I would say that they're with you all the time, right? You and Dad are much like me. We're all quite indoorsy, and so you like to read, and so they're there laying with you or making you laugh.
Or making me take them outside.
Or making them take you outside. But they're always there with you. And so they spend a lot of time, much like my cats. Like right now, Grandma's working double time on Ferguson's fur.
Yeah, we got a fur mess.
Oh my God. There's a giant ball of fur.
I think you need to brush your cat.
He won't let me. Anyway,
well,
okay.
I'm brushing him with my
thank
hand.
you. Well, he's like, I get Grandma snuggles. So, any other thoughts about Penny or Baxter, Mom? What do you?
Oh yeah, they just make you smile.
Yeah,
they make you happy.
Can you imagine not having pets?
No.
Yeah,
no, but we're not going to have that many animals again.
Yeah,
just because we're getting older and it's harder to take care of the bigger dogs.
Yeah, you'll need cats or smaller dogs and things like that, I think. But I still think having animals is probably good. I mean, my cats are good for at least one laugh a day, if not.
One?
Oh yeah, I know. God. They're hilarious.
We're always saying, look at what she's doing now.
Yeah, I get pictures all the time. Did he just sneeze?
No, he's scratching.
Oh, okay. Well, we might need to wrap this up. He's getting out of control.
Yeah.
I thought you were the producer. You're supposed to be in charge of this, Ferguson.
Well, Grandma's visiting, and I'm more interesting than producing. Thank you.
Rude. Thanks, Mom. Baxter was such a good pup, and I think that, as my mom talked about, a lot of other good pups that we had over my lifetime. Jake is such a sweetie. I've posted pictures of him, and I will do so. And their new puppy, oh my gosh, she's so cute. She is so cute. So she gets in trouble. And so right now, before she goes to obedience school, I'm sure it's the you're lucky you're cute sort of thing. But she is a special gal, and I hope that Jake feels like he has a little bit more in his life. And so I think what's really cool about what my mom said is that there's a lot of different things going on. That my mom made friends through this listserv, right? That Jake and Penny are friends, and that for my parents, that having Penny there is a whole new thing for Jake, but also having Jake and Penny is so great for my parents. And so I think that we have lots of different relationships here. It's among humans, it's among the pets, and it's among the human and pet relationship as well. And my dad's going to talk a little bit more about animals and pets. But specifically, we talk about his first dog and then the first dog that I had in our family that I was, a part of, and that was Brandy. And then we talk about Margaret. Our interview was so long that I will post the rest of it on Patreon as an extra bonus interview because we basically talk about all the animals that we've had in our family, and we have a lot. But I think it's absolutely critical to have my dad in this episode because not only from my mom, but especially my dad too, this is where I learned my love for animals, and I can't imagine the world without them, and I can't imagine my life without them. So, you can hear straight from my dad's mouth what I learned, not him specifically saying, I taught my daughter this, but you can get a sense of what my dad thinks about animals and especially dogs. So, can you tell me about your first pet that you had?
I sure can. She goes back into my earliest memories as a child. Mm-hmm. She was this huge purebred St. Bernard that was given to my father because her markings weren't according to what the AKC's provisions were. Mm-hmm. So we had this beautiful St. Bernard. Her name was Alysa.
Which sounds like a variation of my name. Am I named after the dog?
Well, it would be an honor if you were.
Actually, it would be. Yeah. So continue. Tell us about Alysa.
Well, one of the pictures I told you that I came across, I don't know where it's at now. I wish I did. I wish I had it. I'd frame it. I think it was like my second birthday, and my father was building our house, and for a while we lived in the basement while he was finishing the upper level. Mm-hmm. And we're in the basement. It's my birthday, and there's a card table, and I'm sitting on one side of the table, and Alysa is sitting on the other side, and we're both looking at this cake that my mother had made.
We both want some of that cake now.
Right. But she was a very good dog. She was more than a dog to me. She was a companion. I grew up with her. I loved the dog. She's like having a brother or sister. Now, on the darker side, she was kept outside, and it was a different mentality from my parents. Yeah. In keeping the dog, and she was on a big leash
leash.
Yeah. And sometimes I would go out and just play with her, even with the chain on. Once in a while, she would be let loose, and she was fun. And I when she passed away, I think I told you this story. It was like around March, some part of March maybe, and I'd come home from school and I heard this noise at the door, and it was Alysa who had gotten off of her chain, broken it or something, and she came in and went down on the basement, and there was a pad on the basement. She lay down and died.
You know what she was looking for,
right?
One last piece of cake with Jim.
She died of what was called the bloat.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Larger dogs can get that. Then the other part of it was
what does that mean?
I'm not really sure. It's got something to do with her stomachs.
Oh, okay.
Then we buried the dog on our property. Yeah. In the back, and whenever I walked by that, I would think of her and how much I missed her. Looking back now, I'm ashamed at the quality of care that she got. Yeah. Of course, I didn't have a lot of control over that.
You're a kid.
Yeah, I was a kid, but I still feel guilty that she wasn't treated better than she was.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I would say, though, is knowing that story, like how much the dog meant to you. And I know you've told me before that maybe at that time or when you were a kid, you didn't have as many friends. And so Alysa, like you said, was like a sister or brother or companion and that sort of thing. And then knowing that you've had animals in your life for, pretty much. When was the first dog or cat that you had that was your own? Was it?
Boy, well,
Daisy?
Well, we had a dog, Daisy.
But did you have any pets before them that were your own?
No, not really.
So, and when did you get Daisy? Was that when we
moved here? Yeah. And we didn't have her for very long.
Yeah.
I gave her up, and I feel very guilty about that as well too, because she was a good little dog. I mean, she had worms, and we were in the process. I was practicing law about 50, 60 hours a week, come home and work on the house. And this one morning I came down and she passed a worm. And I'd never seen anything like that. And I thought, all right, that's it.
Science fiction is what I imagine it looked like.
Right. Looking back now, I should have taken her to the vet and have her dewormed.
Yeah.
But my life was filled at that point.
Do you also think that that you know more about taking care of dogs now than you did then? Do you think
my attitude towards dogs changed. As I got older, I'm not that much older, but a year or two later, we got Brandy, who was an Irish setter.
Yeah, who was the first dog in my life.
Right. And it didn't start out too good at the beginning. I'd ruptured a disc in my back after we'd gotten her. We got her around Valentine's Day of 1976.
Yeah.
And I ruptured a disc in my back. I think it was May or June of the same year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on medicine, and consequently I had a very short temper with her.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know as much about her, but after I healed from the surgery, I would take her up to Luton Elementary, to the playground, and I'd take a tennis ball and throw it, and no matter how far I threw it, she always brought it back to me.
Yeah.
And it came to pass that she just was a really good dog.
She's the best dog.
Well, she was a good companion.
Yeah.
I started walking with her, and then we started running, and it got to the point where I could run 10 miles, and she didn't even have to be on a leash. She would stay by my side. But she was a good dog. One morning, most of the time I ran early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I had done the 6-mile route, and I got over by the Lansing Country Club, and a rabbit came out from someplace. And she just took off after it.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm out of here. So I came home and I told your mother, and she hopped in. And I had to be in court that morning. So your mom hopped in the car and went over there, and she said that Brandy was sitting on a corner looking for somebody to pick her up and take her home.
She's like, "Where'd you go? I was bringing the rabbit back to you like it was a tennis ball."
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I always remember that. And I feel like she's the only dog that I've known in our family that could be off leash. Maybe she was the only one who was sort of trained to be off leash because of running, or maybe other circumstances of more people around or more dogs around, or just being more protective and things like that, the other dogs just weren't. But I just remember her, she didn't need to be on the leash, and she was a good dog. And do you want to tell them about some of the tricks that Brandy did? Tell them about, she told stories.
Oh, yeah.
She sang songs, and then the 1, 2, 3. Tell people about those.
What would happen is we had we still do, a sliding glass door that overlooks the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Back then we had 11 big trees.
It was beautiful.
Across the backyard. And we had a lot of squirrels that lived in the trees.
She freaking loves squirrels.
Yeah, and so Brandy thought it was her mission to alert all of us if there was a squirrel in the backyard. And she wouldn't do this by barking, but she'd go and get this very intense posture and intense expression on her face. And I'd say, "Shake, Brandy, shake."
Oh, yeah, I forgot she was shake.
Yeah. She'd be so excited. If I let her out, I don't know if she really didn't want to catch the squirrels or
play with them.
Yeah, or she was
looking
too
for
slow.
friends.
Yeah, something like that. Then the other one that you reminded me of that I'd sort of forgotten about is when we had dinner.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not every day, I'd cut up a piece of bread into 3 parts or 6, depending on the size of the slice of bread, and put some peanut butter on it. Mm-hmm. Brandy loved peanut butter.
Yes.
So I would line them up across the edge of the table and say, "Brandy, number 1."
Yep.
She'd get number 1. Get number 3. She'd get 3, and just keep going.
Yeah.
I think one of the most, human-like episodes I had with her was in the summer. It was in the summer, and it was a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And I was, of course, we were all still asleep. It was pretty early in the morning. And she must have had to go outside.
Yeah.
And I had my head was near the edge of the bed, 6 to 10 inches away. And she came in and put her snout right up in my face. And just, so it woke me up, and I looked at her and I said, Brandy, do you have to go outside? And she was tap dancing down the hallway to get outside. But that was pretty good.
Well, one of the things that for people who have never been in the presence of an Irish setter or not have Irish setters in their family, because Margaret, or the other Irish setter that we had.
Irish setter 2.
Irish setter 2. Not quite Brandy 2.0.
Right. Exactly.
We'll talk about Margaret in just a second. But Brandy and Margaret, they just have, I always feel like Irish setters are always tap dancing. It's like they got music in their heart when they're walking.
Yeah.
It's like this prancing that I just have not experienced with another breed. And maybe there's other breeds out there, but there's something about Irish setters, and just maybe it's also because they look very royal and the red color. But I mean, the way she looks doesn't necessarily mean, but the sound of it and like the prancing they did, and you could always tell when Margaret or Brandy were coming across the floor. Well, here they come. The rest of the dogs just sound like it's Stampede, but they all always had like an extra step. Now with Brandy, one of the other things I remember is that she used to eat, the brand of food was Chuck Wagon. But I just remember that she would eat in the middle of the night. You could hear
crunching.
Like, girl, we're trying to sleep. But she's like, And then I do remember when she had to be put down, was it because of old age, or did she have something specific? But I do know.
No, she was about 12 or 13, if not a little bit older than that. And she, there at the end, she had a hard time sitting down and laying down.
Yeah.
And I think that she had cardiovascular issues.
Gotcha.
And it just got to the point where I could see that she was in distress, and I didn't want her to experience that anymore. So we took her out to Michigan State to the veterinary clinic, and they euthanized her that night.
Well, I remember you bringing her, or you or Mom, I don't remember who brought her in or if it's both of you, but you were like, say goodbye to Brandy. Like, I was just like, all right. I hugged her and I was like, see you later. Like, I was a kid, so I didn't completely understand, at the time, but I remember saying goodbye to her.
Yeah.
Like, vividly, I remember where my bed was in the room, because I used to move my room around all the time, but I remember that. And she was a good dog, and I feel like, you talk about wishing that maybe you had a little bit more control with Alysa and how she was treated, and like maybe go back and do things with Daisy differently. But it certainly seems like there is a complete evolution of how you always say, you say it about my cats, because my cats are treated quite well. You always say, when I pass away, I want to be reincarnated as one of your cats, or like I want to come back as one of your cats. And I would say that you could say that about all of the animals that we've had as family members, that they've been treated well. Like, I think that what I've learned about my love for animals comes from you and Mom. And I know Mom's in the other room going, well, it's Jim, who's the dog / pet whisperer. It just seems like animals love you. Do you know what that's about? Is it because you love them so they can sense? Or what do you think it is about you that there's a song that brings all the boys to the yard. What brings all the pets to your yard, Dad?
Well, I think part of it is I feel affinity to all animals.
Me too.
More about dogs, perhaps, because I've had the most exposure to dogs, and I consider them relationships.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm the one who cleans up the poop, but I almost feel like we're equals.
Yeah. Well, they just need a little help. And they're like, thanks, but I mean, I swear, it's like you get up out of your chair to go do something, and then you got like a posse of people like you. It's like you're the mafia leader, and you're like all your gunmen are following you. Like you are protected. You are at the highest power. You always got dogs with you, got cats on your lap. Like you would be, if you were in Home Alone 2, you'd be the lady with all the birds on you. Like you're like a Disney movie in live action, you know, like the princesses with all the animals and stuff like that. I feel like there isn't an animal that you've met that probably hasn't loved you in some way.
Well, it's like, instead of the word posse, I'd use pack. Because I'm certainly not a scientist, but I believe that in a home where you have dogs, they look, I know cats do too.
Yeah.
They look to humans as being part of the pack.
Yeah. I read an article that said that cats just see me as a bigger cat. And I was like, really? Like, I'm the one cat that has to go to work? What's that about?
Exactly.
Like, oh yeah, you Rooney, you stay here and sleep for the next 20 hours.
Right.
Ferguson, you sit on that little windowsill thing I got for you and watch the birds. I'll go to work, make the money and get the like, why was I voted as the cat to go to work and do all that?
You didn't even know there was an election, and you didn't even register to
I mean,
vote.
It seems like maybe the Electoral College took over. I don't know.
Right.
I didn't want to win.
Right. One other memory that I have of Brandy.
Yes.
She could tell when I was getting ready to go for a run. I put on my shorts and running shirt and my shoes, and she's got a little more animated. So,
like, are you taking me?
Right. I would say when Brandy was able to run, about 90% of the time she went with me.
Yeah.
The one of the things I'll always remember about her is I'd open the door, she'd jet out the door, run down to the first cross street, which is about a half a block away, sit down.
And wait for you?
And wait for me. And then I came up to her, and if the street was clear, I'd say, go, Brandy, and she went.
Oh, jeez. We just don't deserve dogs. We don't deserve animals. They're so good, and it's like that. She's probably so excited to be with you, and it's like she knows what to do, and she's like proud to be probably sitting there waiting for you at the end of the block, and then go, and she's like, I'm going to show him that I can go, you know, catch up with me, Jim, you know.
Well, you know, the thing of it is, not always, but I tend to prefer the company of dogs.
Yeah. Can I tell people something I've heard a lot in my life?
No, what's that? Oh,
most dogs are better than most people.
Well, it's true. Just look at the current political system.
Yeah.
You know, like the thing with dogs, they have no guile.
Yeah.
You know, what you see is what you get. If they love you, they show you. If they don't,
they show you.
You get a bite.
Yeah. Or if they're in some sort of distress, they might poop in a shoe or something, or chew up your shoe. Did Brandy ever chew up your running shoes?
Oh,
did she ever get? Was there ever any spats between you two?
There was early on.
Yeah,
but we got past that.
Yeah.
It seems to me like she might have, but I don't have any clear recollection of that.
Well, that's probably because the dogs that came after her, specifically Margaret, probably blocked out any bad behavior that Brandy had, because Margaret was the bad girl of the Lucas family until Bad Boy Bax, who Mom talked about for this episode. So tell us a little bit about Margaret.
Oh, that's a mouthful. Your mom went out and she thought it would be a good idea to get another Irish setter we didn't really talk about it. And so she went to a farm where it was just all open.
Yeah.
And
where the dogs had open space.
A lot of open space. And, you know, I think your mom thought, and for good reason, well, if Brandy was a good dog, this dog would be a good dog too.
She was.
Well, she had her moments. You know, she would, and you probably can do a better job describing this than I can. She'd get out of her cage. And,
Houdini.
Yeah, like Houdini. And she'd come in and get in the garbage, and you'd wonder, how in the hell?
Didn't I put her in her house?
Yeah, yeah. And she would get loose, and I think there was one time in particular where I chased her all over the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I could not get her. And
Margaret was a runner.
Yeah, she was. And she was a lot faster than I was.
Yeah.
And you located her like 2 or 3 or 4 days later out at the Eaton County Animal Control Office.
It was like a week. They thought she was an Afghan. And I was like, you are the ones that hold dogs and you don't know what she looks like. I was absolutely sick. But I think that we got her when I was in middle school, I want to say. And to me, she's nothing like Brandy. They're both Irish setters, and they both have the Irish setter red. But other than that, like, Brandy was a very regal and special-looking dog. And Margaret, she had a cowlick, so it looked like she had a mohawk. Her hair was always out of control. And
like her personality.
Her name was Maggie May, but then I feel like I went away for a weekend and came back, and it was like, Margaret! And that's what she knew, is because she'd get in so much trouble, so she was Margaret. But yeah, so she was just sort of a rough and tumble version of an Irish setter, which if you've seen an Irish setter, they just seem like pretty, like, soft dogs, and she looked like she was raised on like in the wild. Like that's, and
feral.
I think that she probably was a runner because she had so much space to run before, and she used to break out of the backyard, and she got hit by a car from running. I know Michael was getting ready for her first date, and he went after her, and Margaret threw up in the car, and he had to take her to the vet and that sort of thing. I don't remember if Michael went on that date or not, but I remember that happening. And then she ate all these chocolate bars I was selling for like cheerleading or something. She had like 9 lives. I'm like, she's not a cat, she's a dog, and she has 9 lives. And I remember she ran away one time when I was in middle school, and I was really upset. And I remember going to the Dwight Rich Middle School play, that they had, and I was like in the audience all upset because Margaret was missing. And that night, apparently Margaret came and like scratched on the door, and Michael, who was visiting her, still lived here. Yeah, because he was in high school.
Right.
And had got her, and put her in her house. But I remember waking up to, Margaret, were you always there? That was you going, what the hell? But
I remember that.
But the thing about it that you and Mom have always said is that she had 3 paws out the door, except that I loved her and she was like my best friend. Like I have so many pictures of her, and I just like, we're hanging out, and she was like my best buddy, and I loved her so much. And you guys were probably thinking, shit.
No, actually, that's what animals are for, to be loved, and they give back unconditionally.
She loved me.
And, the thing of it is that I reflect on as I listen to you.
Yeah.
Is that dogs are like people.
Yeah.
You might have 2 people from England or Ireland or wherever, and one isn't going to be just like the other one.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own personality, and dogs do too, and cats as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people...
We can't assume that when one of our pets, we have to put them down because it's their time, and that we feel ready to get another pet, that it's going to be the similar situation, or they're going to be completely different.
Yeah, they could be.
They could be.
They could be. I just, which raises the question, at least in my mind, do dogs or cats or animals for that matter have souls?
Yeah.
And there are some folks who don't think that pets do have a soul. Mm-hmm. But I prefer to look at it the way St. Francis of Assisi looked at it, that they all have souls.
Yeah. I definitely think so. I just think Margaret's soul might have been a little bit different. I don't know if you remember the movie Gremlins.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, you and Mom hated that movie. Grandma and Grandpa took us to see it. But in that movie, you have the little Magua, you have Gizmo, he's like super cute. And like that was Brandy. And then someone spilled water on Gizmo and then fed him after midnight, and then poof, poof, poof. And then the gremlin comes out, right? The little ugly one. And that was
Right.
Margaret.
Well,
I loved her, though. She was my little gremlin.
Margaret was prone to the wild side.
She was a rebel girl.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Margaret was a rebel girl. She went rogue. She was a riot girl. And she looked the part. She seriously had a mohawk. You just need to get her like a leather vest and like a choker. She's punked and ready to go. But those are just the Irish setters in her family. We have so many pups since then, but I think those were really important to sort of my development as a person, but also the development of my love for animals, Brandy being the first pet in my life, and then Margaret being my first sort of best friend. And that really led into the love for the rest of the animals that we had, but also now for Rooney and Ferguson. So what I did was, over the last several weeks, I've asked people to send in letters, and I got a lot of letters. And you know what? I read them all, whether they're short or long. I'm not leaving them out. It's all good stuff. And I think every single person has something important to say. And I think there's different lessons to learn, but there's also a running theme through a lot of them that I think is really important about pets. So here we go. Here are the listeners. So I asked listeners to send in their stories either to my email, which is bestforeverspod@gmail.com, or a survey that I have posted on the Best Forever's Pod webpage. And so I have several stories that I'd like to share with you today, ranging from brief to touching to funny. So let's have a listen to those letters. First up, we have a 53-year-old female, Sue, who says that she has Boswell, a dog who was my best buddy. Carl's a close second, but he is a brat. Isn't there always one? Boz always gave us unconditional love. I asked, do you believe that animals can be friends? Why or why not? On the survey. And they said, in the sense that they can offer emotional support, yes, but not in the terms of informational support. There's nothing specific but crying into fur at various times throughout my life. And so I do appreciate what Sue is saying here, is that there is different features of friendship that can play when we're talking about animals, and emotional support and affection is definitely one. Certainly they're not going to give us advice on our 401k or a breakup or whatever the case is, but they certainly, when you're crying about your retirement or about a boyfriend or girlfriend, they're going to be there for you when you're crying. And so that's one of the reasons why I think we love animals. The second letter comes from a 41-year-old male named Mr. Smithers, and I actually think Mr. Smithers has run in before, so hello again, sir. Says he doesn't currently have pets. While many animals have been close to me, there is one animal that sticks out. And when I asked if he believed that animals can be our friends, he said, not to get too technical, but the OED defines friendship after a few that are along the lines of state that of being a friend. Yeah, that's usually a little tautological, right? As a state of mutual trust and support between allied nations or peoples. I have trusted and supported many animals in my life and suspect that they have trusted me. They have certainly supported me in ways that elude simple words. I feel that. Their mere presence is comforting. They recognize distress in humans to whom they are close, and they respond accordingly. I cannot imagine my life without having animals as my friends. You know, Mr. Smithers, I agree. I feel like the cats know when I'm sort of having anxiety issues, or certainly they're like, what are these tears about? Let's get rid of that and let me snuggle in closer. So Mr. Smithers shares a story, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, and I apologize if I didn't. So it says, Chimega was an animal I never met. She was a cougar and the mascot at my undergraduate alma mater, Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. I have to say, I did try to Google the pronunciation, and I couldn't get it to come up. So again, I apologize. So Chimega and Kina, oh, geez. Another cougar mascot, both lived on campus, though I remember Chimega as being the more storied and possibly more loved animal. Wait, so forget the fact that I can't pronounce words. There was a cougar living on campus? Like, I know that Butler has a bulldog and that sort of thing, which seems much more reasonable, but here we go. As a child growing up near the university, my father taught there, I always knew about our cougar mascot. She attended home sporting events and was a constant presence on campus. She was bigger than our dog, but seemed so adorable and cuddly. Aren't all kitties like that? Even so, Chimega had a simultaneous attraction and repulsion to me. I like you, but go away. I desperately wanted to pet and play with her, yet was terrified of her. I have a memory, or perhaps simply it was my imagination, of seeing her in person and being too afraid to approach her. My father spoke of being so close to her that she licked his sweaty hand. She was declawed and defanged and therefore likely posed no threat to people. Not knowing this as a child, I believed that my father was so brave that he conquered a fear I never could. Chimega eventually became too old to attend sporting events and passed away a few years after retiring, which was several years before I began attending college. I never had the pleasure of meeting her in person, but have kept her in my memories all these years later. I have appreciated her photographs on official university note cards that hung up on my refrigerator, which seem appropriate to my relationship with her. While never getting to interact with her personally, she has been a force of positivity in my life while maintaining a safe distance. I love the entire cat family, whether it's Rooney, who's sitting next to me on the floor while I record this, or the big lions. Like, I just saw Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom when the T-Rex goes into the zoo and roars at the lion and the lion roars back. Love it all. But I didn't know that. I have to look this up. I can't believe they would allow a cougar on campus. What's that? Oh, just a cougar. Don't worry about it. But that's amazing. And I think you bring up a really excellent point, and that is thinking about how animals also represent a lot of things. Like, when you think of firehouses, you think of Dalmatians or other dogs. And I just recently saw a video online where there's a cat named Flame who is sort of a quote-unquote member of a firehouse. So I love this idea of mascots or, animals just being there and being by our sides in all sorts of scenarios. All right, the next letter is from a 39-year-old female named KJ. The pet that means the most to me is our rescue pup, Gilgamesh. He's named after the titular character in the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the world's earliest, if not earliest, recorded stories. However, we mostly call him Gil or Gilzy or Gilgamonster and sometimes Mr. Gamesh. Here's the thing. Do any of us call our pets by their actual names? So we got Rooney, but she's Ruru, Rune, Ruin, like R-U-I-N sometimes. Rooney girl, Rooney boo-boo, boo-boo, boob. Pretty girl, fat girl. There's so many names. I just think it's funny that a lot of times she doesn't even get called Rooney. So, do you believe that animals can be your friends? Yes, Gil listens, not always to commands, but to me ramble on forever about whatever. He's a companion who gets me outside and out for walks, and he makes me laugh with his curiosity and his own strange doggo sense of humor. He also knows to help calm my anxiety when and as needed. What I love about this and what this makes me think of is that first, I'd really like to get a dog. I sort of joke that Rooney's not going to allow it. And I think one of the things is that I'm kind of someone who stays inside. It's not like I'm like, oh my God, I'm a vampire. I will turn sparkly if I go outside. But, I think if I did have a dog, I don't have a closed-in backyard, so I would have to walk the dog. Or even if I had a closed-in backyard, I would probably walk the dog every day just so that I could get outside as well. But also, and I know, I'm sure, because I haven't read the letters, I like to read them as naturally and organically as possible. But I think there is something to be said about animals being able to calm anxiety. And, it makes me think of support animals and just, I'm like 3 letters in and I'm already like, we don't deserve animals. They do so many things. Like, think about the scent dogs that find people who are missing or their bodies, or thinking about people who need help getting around, or veterans that have PTSD. Dogs, animals, they're just amazing. So Crystal, like the rock, good one, is a 34-year-old female. She says, I love my cats because of their personalities. They don't give a shit about anything, and let's be real, I need more of that in my life. Dogs are like, listen, I give a shit about everything, and cats are like, bored, whatever. And sometimes we just need to be reminded that it's not all about us. I love it. That's my commentary there. Do you believe animals can be our friends? Hell yeah. A relationship is about giving to someone else, and animals give us so much. Having a day once your cats make biscuits on you, you are instantly better. Rooney loves to do that. I think I have a video that I'll post, but some people call it making biscuits. I've had people call it like tower size, kind of like jazzercise. So I wonder what else y'all call it when cats do their kneading, right? But yeah, I like making biscuits. Crystal, like the rock, says, I never wanted cats, never wanted to be the single woman with cats. Oh, God. That reminds me, Crystal, like the rock. I hate the crazy cat lady stereotype. It's so stupid and played out. And Think of other ways to insult people if you're going to insult them. But hey, how about this? Don't insult people at all. Okie dokies. But the 2 cats came into my life last year, and it's been amazing. The best thing is that I share this experience with 2 good friends who have cats. It's so great to talk to them about the thing that I was freaking out about. They even gave me a cat mom starter kit. This is friendship. You have great friends when you can text them because your cat used the litter box for the first time. LOL. But that's a good point. It's not just that pets are our friends. It's that they help us find friends. And I think that's really cool. Paul is a 47-year-old male, and he says, all animals are wonderful and fascinating to me. I agree, Paul. The only animals that I generally can't get on board with are spiders and centipedes because they creep me out. But that's because I don't like creepy stuff. Okay. He says, it's very difficult to pick just one that means the most to me, but I finally, after 47 years, found something that is worth tattooing on my body forever. And that's, I mean, folks, isn't that a big decision? And he says, it's a seahorse. Too many ways that an animal is significant to me to explain without writing a short novel. Well, Paul, if you want to write that novel, maybe I can put it together and make it into a Patreon clip, or maybe I can interview you and you let me know. But I do like this idea of like what animal means the most to you. What would you tattoo on your body if that was something you're going to do? And obviously, my cats, Rooney and Ferguson, mean so much to me. And I kind of like the idea of outline. So like an outline of a cat head with the whiskers, but also beyond the animals that are in my life every single day that I love so much. I have thought about doing a hippo outline. I love sloths. I love otters. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I think, Paul, we're on the same wavelength here. They're just so amazing. He says, we humans have domesticated some animals for that very purpose. So in the sense, yes, and that is in response to my question about friends. I think that we can be a friend to all animals through conservation and education. Snaps, Paul, yes. But expecting that kind of friendship to be reciprocated is silly. That's a good point. That some animals are domesticated that way, but that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen or that we should expect it. And when it does happen, and Rooney loves on me and has for the last 8 years, I guess consider me lucky. But, Paul, you're exactly right. Conservation and education. So what I'm going to do is look up some information to put in my show notes and to put in the conclusion so that we can have some information about where we can conserve and get educated if we need it. When I asked to share stories, says, really, I don't have any particular one. Sorry, but thanks so much for the podcast, Alysa. You're welcome, Paul. Thank you so much for listening. And again, let me know if you want to publish that short novel on this podcast. Okay. Dora is a 23-year-old female, and she has a cat named Tony. She does believe that animals can be our friends, and she says, he can feel my feeling. Once I felt I had a painful stomach, he came to touch my stomach and sleep with me. That is the best when you're like feeling the worst, and then your animals are like, I'm here for you. What can I do? And by do, it's not like get you soup or Gatorade or the heating pad. It's like, what kind of snuggles can I give you, right? I once threw my back out, and I just remember, I took some meds and I was laying down and I fell asleep and I woke up and both cats were sitting like an inch away from my face, just like, hey girl, what's up? Are you okay? What can we do for you? And Ferguson was laying on my chest and Rooney was next to me, and it's like they sense it. They know what's up. Lauren is a 22-year-old female. She says, my family has 2 dogs, one named Dolce, and she has a smaller mixed breed dog that looks perpetually like a lab puppy, but she is 16 years old. Has she gotten her driver's license yet? And can't see or hear. So I guess not. Sorry, that was bad. Our other dog is Amai, and she is 6-year-old Shih Tzu Yorkie mix. Something that is so special about our dogs is that they're both named Sweet, but in different languages. Oh. Dolce is used to describe sweet music in Italian, and Amai is sweet in Japanese. We got Dolce when I was 6 years old. She has been in my life for so long and has always been the sweetest dog. Whenever I was sick or had a bad day, she could sense it and would be cuddly and wonderful, just like Dora was saying. This is awesome. It's so sad to think about how old she is now. As for Amai, she was a very feisty puppy and was hard to train. Oh, we have lots of those. But she was fun and would sleep in my bed every night. In terms of me asking about friendship, Lauren says animals have the biggest hearts, and I fully believe they can sense personalities and emotions of humans. Animals are there for us when we're sad and share all of our happy memories. The bond people have with their pets is unique and irreplaceable. My dogs are definitely my friends and are a huge part of my life. My dogs are my therapy. I don't get to live with them anymore since I have my own apartment and they live with my parents, but whenever I'm stressed or sad or lost, I will go home to visit them and get cuddles and loving from them. Amaya is very energetic at 6 years old and will follow me around everywhere as she has chosen me to be her person. Oh. The worst part is when I have to leave. Amaya will figure out I'm leaving and will literally give me this silent treatment. I will pick her up to kiss her and she will literally push her paw against me and turn her head away. It's both sad and cute and hilarious all at the same time. But Lauren says it breaks my heart. Dulce is my old lady. She is still so happy but can't see or hear but can smell very well still. Best thing is when I get home, I will pet her and sometimes scare her. And once she smells me and realizes it's me, she rubs her face against me and kisses me and wags her tail. It makes me happy and sad all at once. I struggle to think that her life might be coming to an end soon. She's been in my life for almost as long as I can remember, and I love her so much. Losing her will be like losing a family member. Lauren, thank you for writing in. They are truly sweet pups. I love the names, and it seems like they've had such a positive impact on your life. And when you said losing her will be like losing a family member, it also makes me think of the quote, friends are the family we choose. And so I often think of animals like that, the ones that we consider to be family members. Oh, shout out to Dulce. You stay there. You hang in there, sister. All right. Piper's mama is 30 and female. She says, Piper, of course. She's my first fur baby that has been all my own. I don't have any kids, so she truly is like a child to me. I do anything for her, and I can't imagine my life without her. Our family dog growing up was a golden retriever named Libby. Her full name was Lady Liberty. She was born on September 11th. That's so cute. She was hands down the best, most loyal, calm, kind-hearted animal I've ever known, and when we lost her, it felt like losing a parent. It was absolutely devastating. Nothing will make me more infuriated when people say things like, it's just a dog or it's just a pet. They are family, sometimes closer to us than human family members. And Piper's mama, I would say the word just bothers me because it makes the value of someone or something less than, and they're never just a dog, they're never just a pet, they're never just a cat to people. And if they are those things, then, there might be something else going on that we need to figure out. Piper's mama believes 100% yes that animals can be our friends. They are friends and family. You develop real, authentic companionship with your pets. Like I mentioned above, I can't imagine my life without my little Piper. She's my baby and friend. I struggle with anxiety, and much like a good friend, she helps calm my anxiety so much. She's always there for me when I need her and shows the same kind of unconditional love that a true friend would. Yeah, I think that, there is some common themes, that the love they show is unconditional, there's companionship, and also that they help us through difficult times. And as we'll get to later, I do an interview with my friend Sarah, and she talks about, it's not just the bad things or the big things. Like, yeah, if something happens, our animals might sense it and they're there for us. But they're also with us every single day, like the ins and outs of every single day. And so we spend more time with them than most human beings. So, all right, next up we have Future Heather. Okay, Future Heather is Heather from Sunshine and Power Cuts, which is a lovely podcast, and you should check it out. And I'm actually going to be on it as part of her Sunshine Summit on August 13th. So you can get that information. I'll include the details in the conclusion so that you can get more information. But I'm laughing because she lives in New Zealand, and it's always the future there. So I love it. She is female. Heather, hi. She said, I've had a few pets in my lifetime, cats, fish, dogs, a rabbit, and a miniature pony. Okay, Heather, you need to tell me all about this miniature pony because I did not know that about you. And my buddy Shadow is a black cat, is a gentle soul who dribbles when he's happy, will sit beside you, not on you, and stays close to home. She says it totally believes you can be friends with animals, you form a bond with them, they give us opportunity to care for something, they know that you feed them and the enjoyment of each other's company is mutually beneficial. I love cats. I have a cat named Shadow who's a beautiful, gentle soul. Him and his siblings were dumped on the side of the road in a box. Oh my gosh, Heather, that's what happened to Ferguson. Not in a box, but he was left on the side of the road. But thankfully rescued by a local farmer who nursed them back to health and then advertised them free to a good home. I saw a picture of 2 cute little black fur balls with cheerful yellow eyes, and that was it. I arranged to collect them. Shadow and Midnight, as I named them. We had a cat named Midnight too. Our best buddy, and the 3 of us had a lot of fun. Even though Midnight was a lot more adventurous and snuggly and Shadow was more reserved, they were inseparable and really entertaining to watch. Both cats had a kind nature, and Midnight would like to snuggle on your lap, up around your neck as close as he possibly could, whereas Shadow would sit beside you like a shadow. That's amazing. Unfortunately, after a year, Midnight went on distant adventures and we lost him to a road accident. Oh no. R.I.P. Midnight. Shadow knew that something was wrong and became very, very clingy. Though it was nice that he sought me out, he would cry a lot and it was heartbreaking. Shadow has come out of his shell, being on his own, and is nearly 4 years old now, and loves to sleep inside during the day, on a couch or in the sun. If he gets let in early in the morning, he sleeps on my bed. I found him in open drawers before. He spends the nights outside on little adventures and sleeps in his shed. Sometimes he brings presents of field mice, like, "Hello, mother, here is your... I have presented you with mice." But he loves company and purrs and gerbil when he's happy. I love his nature, and we are the best of friends. Thank you, Heather. And I think what's interesting, though, also is the friendship that Shadow and Midnight have that we often don't consider friendship. But actually, it's not that we don't consider friendships among pets, because I would think that the internet would disagree. There's so many videos of like, check out these animals being friends, or this animal and this human, or... as you heard in my mom's interview, that Jake was sad that Henry was gone, and so they got Penny, and now Penny and him are friends. So I think we do need to consider those things. Next up, we have Lily from Lady Shit Podcast with Lily and Britt. You got to check them out. I've had them on as a promo, and great podcast, great ladies. So thank you for writing in, Lily. She is a 29-year-old female. I have a turtle. Ooh, a non-furry pet. I mean, a seahorse doesn't fur, but you know what I mean. I have a turtle named Carlitos. Nice. My fiance has loved turtles, and after a trip to Costa Rica where we were planning on seeing turtles, but a darn earthquake got in the way, I promised I'd get him a turtle one day. So when a lab mate randomly told me she had a turtle a few years ago that needed to be adopted, I hopped on it. Carlitos has a chill attitude, loves basking in the light and eating fruit, and doesn't like cuddling. I also have a Shih Tzu puppy named Roxy that we do parent with my partner's parents. They surprised us Christmas morning when I opened her present with dog treats and a note with her picture saying she was joining our family Valentine's Day. I looked like every YouTube clip you see of people being surprised with pets, squeaking, crying, incoherent, and just so happy. She's a little fluff ball that we fell in love with immediately. I've never had a dog, and I never realized how much quickly and intensely you can love a puppy. She is super friendly and loves playing, and like Carlitos, isn't a huge cuddler. And with 4 parents, she gets a lot of attention. Oh man, that's like amazing. It's like I get all of the love. And I got an email from Lily today with the pictures. Carlitos is so pretty. Yellow and black shell. I will post these so I'm not just like, this is an audio podcast and you can't see the photos. And Roxy's a cutie patootie. That's the kind of size dog I want. But again, will Rooney allow it? Okay. So she absolutely believes that animals can be your friends. To me, friendship is a mutual bond that you have with someone or a pet. Oftentimes, we treat our pets like our friends. We talk to them, care and support them, spend time with them, and see them as an important part of our lives. There is a connection. If anything, I think we go one step further and say they are family members, which a lot of people do. Yes, I would agree. With Roxy especially, she keeps me company and makes my day with her energy and cuddles, even if it's very short-lived. My partner works out of town, so it can be lonely, but not with little Roxy by my side. There's something comforting knowing she's there. And when I'm stressed out, which I am often as a graduate student, girl, I know what's happening there. I was there. Hang in there. Just playing with Roxy is a major stress reliever. She offers unconditional love and is always there. In some ways, this is what makes this friendship so special and different from human friendships. Lily, thank you. That is an excellent point to end on. They are different from human friendships because they are always there. There's that unconditional part. And although, like Sue mentioned, there is an informational support, we don't get everything from them that we might need, but they offer a lot of love and affection and support and just a lot of love. So thank you. All right, we have Roxdale's Menagerie. I like that. Okay, this is from a 37-year-old female. Snap, here we go. Hens, Goldie, Blondie, Gertie, Willa, Henrietta, Red, a.k.a. good old no arms. First off, I'm excited about hens, and second, I'm excited about these names. This is great. These girls are hilarious and bring me so much entertainment. Pets are hands down our friends. Well, we don't clean our friends' poop, but still. But maybe if her friends had a poop accident, we might help them. I don't know. Maybe we need to put that as a poll on Twitter or something. Ever have so little to post on social media that you feel like you have nothing to talk about? I love how, she's offering this. It feels like a nighttime commercial. Do you have difficulties opening your milk carton? Ever have so little to post on social media that you feel like you have nothing to talk about? Get a chicken. Easily the best conversation starter and comic relief. I love sharing pics and stories of the girls. Even if someone thinks it's dumb, maybe it is. I'm still laughing though. And what I say is keep doing you. You do you. Goldie, Blondie, Gertie, Willow, Henrietta, and Red, a.k.a. good old No Arms. I want to hear the story behind these names. Send me an addendum. All right, next up we have Lacey, who's a 25-year-old female. She says, I've had a ton of pets, 7 cats, 1 dog, 3 rabbits. That is a ton of pets, and they've all been amazing, but a few are especially special. My cat, Tibby, oh, love that name, was a gift from my mom after we put my cat, Chloe, down. Oh, no. My mom came home and surprised me with her in her coat. Oh, that's amazing. I then went around the neighborhood and had a very formal naming process. I had over 100 names in a hat and had people pull names out of the hat, and somehow we narrowed it down to Tibby. Lacey, I like how you got the whole community involved. Shortly after having her, there was the dryer incident. Oh, God. Okay. No one had seen her around the house all day, and we eventually got worried and started searching the house. Oh, gosh. With no luck, my mom asked my stepdad if he had shoes in the dryer. Oh, my God. My heart is pounding. He said no, so we went to the dryer and opened it, and there was Tibby. She was fine. Oh, thank you, baby Jesus. Oh, my God. That is one of my fears. When I can't find Ferguson, I always open the dryer, knowing good and well that I would never leave it open or put him in there or anything like that, but it was the greatest fear. So super nervous there, Lacey. Oh, my God. She was fine, but karma came to my stepdad when he pulled his load of whites out of the dryer to find cat poop stains on his clothes. She was an amazing cat. She followed me everywhere and was the best smuggler, and she loved to play fetch with milk rings. She helped me cope when my mom passed away, too. Tibby, tip of my hat to you. You sound amazing. Animals are the best friends because they're unconditional love. They love you no matter what you're feeling and always come back to you. They can sense your emotions and comfort you better than most humans. For an introvert who isn't crazy about talking about feelings, animals help me a lot. One of the best pets I've ever had was Lila. I've met Lila. She was awesome. Okay. I adopted her from the local animal shelter, and at first I thought she was the ugliest dog. I originally wanted to adopt another dog, and when that didn't work out, I told the dog manager that I needed a friendly dog under 60 pounds. When we didn't find another match, he said he had another dog in the back that hadn't fully been evaluated but might be a good match. He brought out this boxer, was super skinny and scared, and after visiting her a few times, I fell in love. She was a goofy dog that was pretty easy to train, and when I would have panic and anxiety attacks, she would always comfort me. I had her trained and registered as an emotional support dog so she could come with me to school. I taught her sign language, and she and I quickly became best friends. She helped me cope with a lot of emotions and stress, and I was able to help her gain weight and live a happier life. She had no idea how to play with toys, so she literally just wanted to be by my side all day, every day. Lacey, thank you. Thank you so much for Tibby, Lila, great dogs, great cats. And again, I'm just reminded that we don't deserve animals. They're the absolute best. Next up, we have Aubrey, a 20-year-old female. Sass is an Australian cattle dog. Great name. Okay. Most definitely, they can be our friends. Anytime my mood changed, my dogs would change in accordance to aid in improving my mood. If I was sad, they would lick my tears and or curl up right next to me, or more usually on me. If I were angry, they would stand at a distance, but at full attention until I calmed down and then would walk over to me. These types of actions show that they care and want to help, just like any human friend. When I left for college, I had to leave behind my baby girl. My pride and joy, my darling angel Sass, who was 12 at the time. She was my best friend growing up. She listened to every boy problem, comforted me after every fight with my parents, sat and watched my favorite movies with me until late at night, and was just there for everything. It absolutely destroyed me to leave her at home because of how much of my life I spent with her by my side and now wouldn't have the comfort with me. When I came home after a difficult first semester, I was so excited to be with her for a few weeks. I walked in the door, went straight to my room, where she usually was, but she wasn't there. I went to go get her from outside where I assumed she was, and my dad grabbed my shoulder and sat me down, and he told me about a week prior, that Sass passed away. I lost my most loyal and best friend, who I have never stopped thinking of since. And you know your angel Sass is looking down at you. Down on you. Whatever the statement is, Aubrey. This makes me think of, how close we are to animals, and that it must be so hard to transition to college for those of you who have pets growing up or just moving away or whatever the case might be. When I went to college, I lived in the same town, so I still got to go home to my pets. And it wasn't until I went to Penn State at 25 that we had to put down our pup, Margaret, who was my best friend. And so I did get to say goodbye. So that must be incredibly hard, Aubrey. Thank you for sharing. I had a few stories written in to my email, so I'd like to share a couple of those now. Kate is from the podcast Pups and Pup Culture, and so I'm so glad that she wrote in because pups are her thing, right? Jazz is my 11-year-old Labrador who I've had in my life since the day she was born. I nursed her when she was a sick 11-day-old baby and cried with worry over her when she flatlined during a routine surgery. Oh my God. We've been through a lot together, and I consider her much more of a friend or a pet. Not only is she a great listener, she doesn't judge. Well, only when I go away and leave her with Grandma overnight. Right, when I get home a little bit late, Ferguson is already in the front window like, girl, where you been? Don't you know my food bowl is empty? I am judging you hardcore right now. She has also been a great comfort these last few years while I've been struggling with health issues. We have a lot in common too. We both love naps and food, like a lot. I feel like y'all speak to me, Kate and Jazz. All right. Her mother, Lucy, while not strictly my dog, probably doesn't quite see it that way as she never leaves my side. Even as I'm writing this, she is tangled under my feet. We bonded the day my family picked her up 13 years ago. She laid her head on my lap in the car, and that was it. Love at first sight. She is as much my baby as Jazz, and I don't know where I'd be without either of them. I'd have little less love in my life, that's for sure. I also have a cat, but she doesn't consider me a friend. Merely a servant who brings her the wrong food all the time. Oh my God, I guess that's why it's called Pups and Pop Culture and not Cats or Kitties and Pop Culture. Kate, this is so true. And I swear to God, the food bowl will have like 3 morsels missing, and Ferguson will be looking at me like, why is this entire bowl empty? Are you trying to starve me? Okay. Kate says, my love and, let's face it, obsession for dogs inspired my creation of Pups and Pop Culture, my dog-focused podcast. We talk about dogs in TV, film, and literature. Not only do I share stories of Jazz and Lucy, but I talk to dog moms and dads about the loves, laughs, and losses of pet parentship. What a fantastic podcast. I highly recommend having a listen to Kate and Pups and Pop Culture. And I will post in my show notes all the information so that you can follow Kate and Lily and Heather, all the people who've been on from the podcast, so that you can find their podcasts. And this one specifically because it focuses on animals. And so, Kate, if you'd ever like me on, I am there. If you have an opening, I'm there with the bells on. And I'm hoping to get a pup, so maybe I can tell you that story about getting my first pup. And she sent me photos of her dog. Let's see. I feel like Georgia from My Favorite Murder. Oh my God. They are the cutest. I love this. There's a birthday picture for Lucy, and it says age 4,748 days, or 13 years old. Loves dinner time, cuddles, naps, chicken. Oh, dogs are the best. Absolutely love it. Okay, next up we have Abby, who is a former student of mine and has one attractive pup. Oh my goodness. So it says, how did you come together? My boyfriend and I started volunteering at a local humane society shortly after graduating college. We were moments away from adopting a 7-month-old Brittany Spaniel when we decided the timing wasn't quite right. Luke came into our life several weeks later. We instantly fell in love with his goofy ears and sweet personality and visited the shelter every night for a week so we could spend as much time with him as possible. Here's the thing. This dog is so attractive that I'm surprised the dog was still there when they went back. So it says no one was surprised when we officially brought him home that Friday night. We had little information on the fact that he was 10 months old, 31-pound white mutt who loved everything and everyone. From what I've been able to piece together, Luke was abandoned to a high-kill shelter in Big Spring, Texas. Saved days before his kill date and transported to the Midwest where he would have a better chance at adoption. Dogs have always been a big part of my life. Luke isn't my first dog, but he's taught me endless lessons in patience, kindness, and joy. He encourages me to be more active and more social. We have puppy playdates with friends who own dogs and bond with fellow dog owners at the local dog park. Luke's always down for an adventure, whether it's a trip to the beach, running errands at the bank, or going out to dinner. He's always excited to see me after a long day at work and content to snuggle up and sleep in on a rainy Sunday. I hear that. We have our fights just like any friends. He once refused to sleep in my room for 2 days because I gave him a bath. But we're quick to make up and he always forgives. Oh, yeah, dogs, they're always forgiving. The companionship of a dog is so unlike that of a human. They never pry, never lie, and know exactly when you need a smile. I'm going to say that again because I love that so much that I think we need to hear it twice. The companionship of a dog is so unlike that of a human. They never pry, never lie, and know exactly when you need a smile. That's awesome. We're often asked about Luke's breed and don't have a solid answer. The shelter labeled him a shepherd mix. Our vet can't even give us a guess. People have guessed wild things from husky to lab to pit bull to chihuahua to cattle dog and more. Lately, I've been labeling him as a Texan white dog, which is a totally made-up breed. He's a super mutt and we love him more because of it. On a more serious note, I'm fascinated with the power of dogs to build communities. There are several social media groups, Dog Spotting, Cool Dog Group, and Dog Rates, to name a few. I don't think I'm a member of any of these, and I need to do so immediately. That bring together hundreds of thousands of dog lovers each day. I've made connections with people across the globe over one shared interest, our dogs. I've seen doppelgangers, solicited advice, laughed, and cried along with people I've never met in person. As someone who works with social media and communications, it's amazing to see how brands are shifting their focus towards pets and pet lovers. Hey, four-legged internet sensations are becoming brand influencers. Think Doug the Pug, who rose to fame seemingly overnight. Subaru, as another example, markets their vehicles as long-lasting and safe for all members of your family, dogs included. Tito's Vodka is now doing the same, rebranding themselves as a drink for dog people. Pets are family, and I couldn't imagine a world any different. And to keep up with Luke's adventures, follow @EverybodyLovesLuke on Instagram. And seriously, folks, I follow Luke, and you won't regret it. But I love this idea of people are taking note of how important pets are to us. And I would say the internet, I follow so many things. I don't follow groups like that. Well, I will later, but that I can scroll through my entire Facebook feed and it be nothing but animals, and I am okay with that. So I do love this idea of them being influencers. Okay, so the next story is Diana from the Happily Ever Aftermath podcast, and you've probably heard me talk about her and Polina before, and I've also been on their podcast, the Pretty in Pink episode, and they're amazing. You should check them out. So here is Diana's story about, well, I'll just go ahead and get into it because I haven't read it, so I don't know what it's all about. Okay. My family did not have any dogs in my lifetime. There is a story of Sydney who lasted about a week many years before I was born. We did have cats, but only because I begged my dad. We were terrible cat owners. They all ran away. Oh my goodness. I was slowly introduced to dogs when I started dating my now husband, Ryan, back in 2001. His family had 3 at the time. Bingo, a Carrion Terrier. Louie, is it Shetland Sheepdog? I apologize. And Sparky, a Dachshund. I love Dachsies. Okay, fast forward to 2010. I was living alone for the first time and volunteering for an animal rescue organization. Sending out mailings and such. I was not good with working directly with animals. I started looking online, imagining the possibilities if I adopted an animal. A cat seemed like the best bet for me, but something about the cat box pushed me towards dog. I claim I made the decision to look for a dog because the poop would be outside. Still got to pick it up, though, and at least I can do it with the little whisk thingamajig that I got. Since I worked full-time, I thought it would be best to find an older dog who'd be okay by itself for blocks of time at work. I found it on the organization website Hank, a 6-year-old sheepdog chow mix, allegedly. I called and asked for more information. He was surrendered by his family that had to move and could not take him with him. I was intrigued, and to be honest, he was an adorable dog. I also found out that very soon there was a big adoption event coming up. A huge nonprofit was going to cover the adoption fees for all qualified adopters. Well, I do love free things, don't we all? That weekend, I told Ryan that I wanted to take a look. We got up early as I was warned that it is first come, first served basis. If I wanted a certain dog, I should be there as soon as possible. The event started at 9 a.m. and we were there at 9:10. I panicked since what if someone else already snatched up this dog I'm not sure I want? Wait, what if I claim this dog, pass, and some other family that would have loved him lost their chance? Many crates were already empty as the pups are the first to go. I asked a volunteer if Hank was still available. Immediately, they were thrilled. Hank had the reputation of a great dog, but overlooked since he was 6 years old. He had already been with them for 8 months. He was hanging out in the back corner in a pen by himself. He needs a buddy. I remember on the website there was a set of 4 pugs. 2 had already been adopted and were in the pen next door. Ryan called them his pug neighbors. I was very nervous. I didn't know what to expect and was wondering if I'd be able to handle a dog on my own. They opened up the pen and gave me the leash and let us get to know each other. We started to walk on the grass. About 10 steps in, he started to poop. It was a big mess of grossness. Clearly, he was on a wonky diet, and even worse, I didn't have a way to clean it up. And that second, my greatest fear of owning a dog was happening in real time. So I let him finish, then walked to a volunteer, explained what happened, and asked if I could have something to clean it up. With a leash in one hand and a small pan and a scooper in the other, I raked up the mess and decided to adopt a dog. That was such a spontaneous decision that 1, Ryan was completely floored that I was bringing home a dog. 2nd, I had not accounted for the fact that I was leaving for a trip to Reno with my mom that weekend. Oops. Fortunately, Ryan offered to watch him while I was gone. I enjoy gambling with my mother, and we will at times go for hours playing slot machines together. It was maybe 1 in the morning, and I noticed that I was playing but not paying attention, so it was time to go to bed. I got my voucher to one of those cash-out machines. I was so focused on making sure I didn't leave the change in the tray, so I grabbed it quickly and left. Well, I grabbed the change but left the paper, $100 in the machine, and I walked away. There was a line behind me, and the not good Samaritan up next decided not to tell me the bill was still there. So freaking rude. By the time I ran back, there was no line and no one in the area. I found my mom, and we went back upstairs together. I was so angry at myself for being up so late and for being so irresponsible. My mom hugged me as I started to cry and offered to replace the money. It was sweet, but I didn't want her money. And that's when it happened. More tears came out. I hugged her tightly and said, I don't think I can handle having a dog. What have I done? It was the scariest responsibility, and I lost it. All of my life is now irreversibly altered because I have a life that is dependent on me. I have a very distinct memory being on a bench in the hallway of our floor, being held by my mom as I waited for the 50-pound ball of fur waiting for me at home. I will say for long periods of time I wondered if Hank could have been adopted by a better family with a stay-at-home mom and 3 kids that would have taken him on camping trips and had a pool in the backyard. But Hank wasn't a swimmer. We would take him to the dog park and he would get anxious when other dogs started playing. He didn't seem to know they were play wrestling and wanted everyone to get along. He would come back to us and didn't have interest in the other dogs. Turns out my anxious, introverted self found an anxious and introverted dog. Oh, it's a match made in heaven. Every morning, about 10 minutes before my alarm would go off, he would find me in bed and nudge my hand. I would pet him like he was my snooze bar. Then I would roll over, he would jump up, and I would spoon him until it was time to get up. I called him my sweetie puppy buddy and give him nicknames like HR Puppy Stuff, Hank Rojic, and Friedrich von Puppy Butt. I have no idea why. I would joke if that anything ever happened to him, I would have to get pregnant since I would have to be manipulated with hormones to love anything more than him. Ryan and I also got into conversations about cloning him. We would call the clone little baby Frank. Okay, she gives a warning. It's about to get heavy. Okay. Okay. I'm still bitter that we only got about 4 years together. We started to notice that he was very lethargic on a Tuesday. We brought him to the doctor on Thursday. He was gone on Sunday. The test results hadn't even come back yet. Liver cancer. As much as it still hurts, I'm grateful that he took a very painful decision out of our hands. I was in bed for 2 days straight and was a wreck for months. The pain is very real, but earned as there was so much love in our home. And she said she had to take a break because this was hard to write. Since then, I have recovered from the loss and have a wonderful dog, Apollo, in my life. No children yet. Every June, to celebrate the day we adopted Hank, we make a donation to the Heifer International. The organization provides livestock to families. The intention is to enhancing the capacity of vulnerable small-scale farmers, especially women, to secure their livelihoods. Our donation is a sheep. I imagine Hank would have loved to have his own flock to ignore. 8 years later, I look back and grateful every day with that terrifying 50-pound ball of fur. Oh my goodness. Diana, thank you so much for sharing all of your entire process. You know, people say, oh, you're like a crazy cat lady. And it's like, no, I have anxiety and I'm just concerned about my cats. One of them has seizures. I just love them so much. I don't want anything to happen to them and I don't want to be a bad cat mom. And so I understand the anxiety and I'll probably feel some of the same ways when I get the first pup. But those 4 years of love that you had, that's what we all hope to have, right? That we have that love. And it sounds like that you did in Hank. And that is really something. So I also have, as I was looking up photos for some of the pups that I was explaining to you, I got another email. And it's from Britt from Lady Shit. Her and Lily are the co-hosts of that show. Check it out. It says, I've attached a pic of my fur baby Jasper. This is from 2018. 2018 has been kind of rough for me, so bringing him home in March was perfect timing. He's like a furry little antidepressant. She says, haha. He makes sure I get out of bed, get lots of fresh air, exercise, and it always keeps me smiling. And let me tell you, folks, Jasper is freaking precious. And it's only a few months that you've had him, perhaps? Yeah, in March. So that sounds amazing. And I can't wait to post all the pictures that everyone has sent me. Because all of your animals are so precious, and I know that they're going to bring a lot of joy to everyone. And so I talked about my Facebook feed being full of animals. Well, listeners, get ready because your Twitter, your Facebook group, your Facebook page, and Instagram are all going to be full of people's animals for a very long time. And I'm okay with that, and I sure hope you're okay with that. But thank you to everyone who wrote in. I just love to hear everyone's stories and how much animals mean to you, and it's nice to know that there are people out there who feel the same way that I do, and even people who have different experiences. I mean, I'm still thinking about those hens. No arms. But no, thank you so much. So many of you are so open and vulnerable and show just how much love your animals provide you and how much you loved them. Love and love them.
Well, I took some notes of lessons learned.
Excellent.
And growing up as a child, one of the primary lessons I learned in having our cat was always check your beanbag chair before sitting down because the cat might have peed in it. Learned that one the hard way. The other lesson was that you don't ever get rugs with rubber backs because, again, they will pee on it. So those were my two lessons really gleaned from Chaz. And so moving on, though, I think some other lessons are literally like shit happens. Literally, figuratively, like you just have to let go because the plan you thought, like the number of times I've tried to leave the house and Bob's outside being like, I think I gotta poop, but I don't know. Like,
or you're like, Harlow, what's that on your butt?
Yes.
I like to call poopy butt.
Yes, I had to leave a conversation to cut a turd out of her butt for her. So, because you're like, what's that smell? And she's looking at you like, I don't know.
I think I've told you this, that like with Ferguson, he's staring at me like we've locked eyes.
Don't embarrass me.
And now he's licking himself. Perfect. When I got him, he had been with someone like a foster type place. He's licking his crotch.
His butt now.
Hey, check it out. Right here. Right at you, Mom. You asshole. Literally.
Uh-huh.
So I wish I don't know where my phone is, or I take photos of what I could see.
There we go. Oh no!
This is why we have pets.
Don't let us interrupt you.
Because he is worth at least 3 to 4 good laughs a day, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when I got him, he was at a place where they had cat litter that disintegrated. So it was like some organic stuff that I could never afford. And so when I got him and I was using the litter that Rooney had, because I was like, I don't need to change the cat, like bring in a cat and then like say, here, going to change this thing that you use every day and is probably a safe space for you. And Renee does love her privacy in the litter box. So if you see her in there, don't look at her. But I was like, I can't tell you how many times I was like sitting on my couch or something like that and be like, did he poop? Did he poop on me? And I'm looking around, did he poop next to me? Because the smell is so strong. And then I would go in there, he just doesn't know how to cover his poops. Like, literally does not. And so I'm glad the litter's down in the basement now. But before, I was in a small apartment, and I literally felt like he pooped on my face. So
today I got home from grocery shopping and was immediately introduced to the smell of poop. And so I was like, someone turdy-lurdied in here. And so it was a little different make and model from the cats. And I was like, it was Bob. And he was like, hi. And sure enough, had pooped, thankfully, on his pee pad. He's very good about that.
Yeah.
But it smelled terrible.
Charles Barkley.
Terrible. And it lingered for a very long time. So I cleaned it up, wrapped up all the pee pads in like a bundle and put it in the trash. And that lingered for a good half hour. I'm sure I'll still smell it.
You walk in tonight and you'll be like, what the? Oh, God damn it. So then here we are. You're like, a lesson learned was like, shit literally is going to happen. And so people might go, well, why would you want a pet with all that? You know? And it's like, it's minor in comparison to all the good that comes from it. But I'm wondering if you had other lessons.
Well, yes, I did.
Okay, then please carry on. We could probably talk about poop stories all day.
Right? And so one of the other ones is, forget personal space. As we might have noticed, one night I was woken up to this like moist sound, and it was Bo licking his butt right next to my face. And so just like when I'm in the bathroom, both the kittens would like to be held. I'm like, this is not the time.
You're not a cat owner if you haven't held them on while you're using the bathroom.
Yeah. Bo needs to be held like a baby every day. Every day. And so they just, zero fucks given about your personal space. Like, you're my mom and I want to be on you right now.
Yeah.
So that's one. And just in general, I've kind of just lowered my standards of cleanliness, of just what's gross and what's not gross. And I would assume similar for people that have human children.
Yeah.
That your bar goes way down.
Yeah.
And it just does. I will always have cat hair on me.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, yeah, you can see the cat hair glistening in the daylight on my couch because I haven't defurred the pillows in a couple days.
Yeah, I have spots on my curtains that look a different color because there's so much cat hair on it.
And the thing is, people with pets know what's up.
Yeah, and zero judgment. I didn't even notice it. I'm going to be really honest. I was like, oh, all right. But you don't get aware of how many pets you have or that you have pets until non-pet people come into your home and are like, mm-hmm. And you're like, so that smell is poop, and that is cat hair.
Welcome. Just pick up that hair and throw it up like confetti. Woo!
It really is pet owner confetti. If you have a multicolored cat, just
like
make
glitter.
It rain.
It's a cat glitter.
Make it rain.
Yeah.
But
I don't call it dander. I call it love glitter.
There you go. It's just in how you look at it. But they bring such joy to my life that it's like, all right, I'll clean your shit out of the box. You know, like,
it's like searching for gold in the old timies, like in the West. Like,
canning for it. I just keep coming up poop. Like,
when am I gonna get the gold? That could really pay the student loans off.
Yes. Sometimes, because I also have a lot of real glitter in my house, and so the cats eat it. And so, not intentionally, but, they lick something or they roll around, whatever. And so sometimes there's some
glitter
sparkle.
In the sparkle glitter box.
They get it in their eye goop a lot.
Oh.
It happens.
And cats have eye boogers.
They do. And the dog loves those. The dog loves his own eye boogers. And so, again, that's how you know your threshold's lower, because you're like, here, let me scrape that eye booger out for you, because it's the treat you make yourself. And so that's how you know you've gone to the other side. So why spend expensive money on real treats when you're making them yourself? So, yeah.
Other
you just
lessons?
have a low threshold for it. You're like, what'd you do? Cut poop out of butt fur and let him eat their eye boogies. So it just happens.
Oh, Bergs. He says, I love that story.
But again, they give such joy. And when you come up and they do lay and they're purring and they're, they just, they love you so much and they give so much back. And it's just nice to know, again, that I can give them a safe space and that they can really flourish and shine. And they do.
I'm Mitzi and I'm here to shine.
Hello. And so it's just, I think that's really cool. And again, I absolutely have moments where I was like, I've made a terrible life decision. Like the first night.
5 or 6 of them.
Yes. Like the first night where I had all the animals in the house at the same time and I was doing like Bob's medicine at night or something. They were all on the island and they were all like crowding me and I was like, oh shit. Like this is.
You're definitely outnumbered now.
Oh my gosh. And it was just a lot. And then it's kind of your new normal.
Yeah.
And you figure it out.
Fergs, what do you think? Should we add a puppy? He says, does that sound like Fancy Feast? Because like, that might be why he's sharking us. It's only 4:40. You need to back that up.
Yeah, it's not time.
It's not time.
I say that a lot in my house. It is not time.
Well, that's the thing is, like, he wakes me up early because he's like, time to eat, Mom, just in case you forgot. And then he starts about 4 and doesn't give up until I feed him. And sometimes, like, last night, Rooney woke me up because she's working on a fur ball. When that happens, it's like she doesn't feel good, so she's kind of letting me know that she doesn't feel good. Like, well, if I don't feel good, well, I'm going to make you suffer with me. Mm-hmm. And so she wakes me up and I was like, I can't get back to sleep. So I came and I slept on the couch. Well, the cats usually don't bother me, but I woke up and I have this table that's adjustable in terms of size that I usually put my laptop on and I do work while I watch television or whatever. And I wake up and Ferguson's laying at it, staring at me. And I'm like, what's up, bro? He's like, you know what I want.
I see you haven't fed me yet today.
He's like, I want the good stuff.
Hello.
The fancy
Please
feast.
wake up.
Hi. So then what do your pets mean to you?
Oh, it feels like I should have a really deep philosophical answer for that.
You should, and if you don't, we're all going to judge you. It's happening.
It was kind of ironic as I was reading these questions, trying to pull my thoughts together. I had Harlow laying on my chest and on my face and licking my nose and like Mitzi right on the side. And so I was like, well, that's that. And so, my animals are, I like my children. I don't have children, but I think about them a lot and their care and their well-being and want to give them the best life possible. And so they mean an awful lot to me. Some people are like, well, it's just a pet. And it's like, well, no.
I don't like the word just, but also no.
No. Like when Mr. Lickers passed, like I needed to take 2 days off work. Like I'm not going to lie. It was devastating. And so they've said when you lose an animal, it's similar to the grief when you lose a child because animals are just exclusively in your care. You know? And so they mean a lot. You see them every day. You interact with them every day, morning and night, and they're there for you. And they're a big part of your life, unless you're a real jerk and like keep them outside, I guess, all the time or, hurt them. And there's totally a special place in hell for people who hurt animals.
Reach on.
And that gets me fired up.
Oh, yeah, it makes me so upset.
So they're just a part of my life and a part of my world. And I can't imagine not having them there in some form or fashion. Like I will probably be a pet owner for the duration of my life. Yeah,
for sure. Well, especially because I've already made a deal with Rooney and Ferguson that they're living forever.
They're the fame cats. I'm gonna live forever.
I always think of this book by Judy Blume that came out when I was a kid called Locked in Time. And it's basically about this family that I haven't read it in so long. I might have to find it and reread it. But it's basically like, they're kind of like vampires, but not, they're basically can live forever. And so I'm like, you guys are locked in time.
Yeah, nothing bad will ever happen to you.
No, especially this guy who has seizures. Say no more seizures. No.
So scary. But you feel like when things like that happen to your animal and you just
I was so freaked out.
Terrifying.
I thought he was choking when I came out because he was by the food dish in the kitchen and he was thrashing. And that is as best of a descriptive word as I can think of. And I thought he was choking. And so I went to clear his mouth and he bit me, probably because he was seizing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next day after I called actually your vet, because my vet's overnight care is in Saginaw, which is, I don't even know. I haven't been there since I was a kid, actually.
Right.
I think it's like a 45-minute
drive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if I remember correctly, I knew my car was on E, and I was like, well, shit. But I called your vet at night. I said, I'm not a patient here, but my cat, something's happened. I don't know what's going on. And the doctor called me back. So I give major shout outs to your
they're fabulous.
Your vet office for helping me, even though I wasn't a patient or a client. And so the next day I had to go to urgent care because cat bites will kill you.
Yeah. Turns out.
And apparently there's an article that says their cat litter is going to make you cause some mental health issues.
It's going to be like cancer because everything causes cancer.
Well, that's probably true. And cancer can go itself.
Mm-hmm.
And just for that, this episode is explicit.
Right. We've been dropping some bombs lately. And
just in this part. I'll be explicit for the last 20 minutes.
Right. It's getting real.
It's getting real because our pets are real and they're real to us and they're real important to us. And even though this little jerkwad is, he's supposed to be producing the show, not ruining it.
Right.
He's even involved in the podcast. Not only are they involved every day, but he's the producer of Best Furevers and he's on the stickers and merchandise and all sorts of stuff. He is a huge part of it.
Taking a dominant role.
Yeah. And that's why he probably thinks he can just do whatever he wants.
Probably.
Jerk.
But I think
Love you.
I think it's all the little moments that add up. You know, when you think about your best friend or your close relationships, is that they share in a lot of the little moments. They're not just there for big events. They're there for all the small stuff. And
the daily ins and outs.
And I was leaving to come here and I went into my bedroom and Bob was sleeping so cute in his bed and I had to snuggle with him a little bit. But there's Mitzi with her ear flipped over, just looking at me like, see you later, Gator. And you're just like, you're ridiculous. How do you not know that your ear's flipped inside out? How do you not know? How is that comfortable? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you're a knucklehead. And then, and I flipped her ear back over and I pet them both and I hit the road and you're just like, oh, but they, you got giggles and laugh and it's just all the little moments along the way, the sweetness and the headbutts and
oh yeah, I got lots of those pictures. Because he is with me every step of the way. He's my little love bug and he is always with me. Or Rooney's like, cool, I know you're here. Bye.
Right. I'll be over
I'm
here.
an independent woman.
That's right.
But Ferguson is always with me. And so I feel like I notice when he's not because he likes to sleep on his kitty condo, which I moved up into my office so that when I podcast, he's sitting there next to me. But now he sleeps there during the day and they'll be like, where's my buddy? Come down. And then I'll just be like, Ferguson, come here. And then he'll come down here like, what do you want? Oh, you just want me down here? And then come on, Mom.
You're so obsessed with me.
Why are you so obsessed with me? Which, by the way, I guess we could end this interview on how many pictures of your pets do you think you have on your phone?
An embarrassing large amount of photos. And at some moment I was like, I think I need to go through and tag these in my iPhotos. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of work. But I just cleaned it off. But at one point I had 800 or 900 photos. And I would say maybe 75 of them are gifts that are just, hanging out for the right moment because they got to be ready for the right moment to play that one out. And probably another 50 are like, oh, I should get this product, click, screenshot. Yeah. And then the rest are photos of my animals.
You only have 800 to 900 photos on your phone?
I do.
I think I have 21,000 photos on my phone.
How do you have that? What
iCloud.
Size phone oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, if you want to hack my iCloud, enjoy all my cat photos.
Yeah. They're like, well, this isn't even worth it.
It is if you're into cats.
Right. Or they're like, they're adorable.
Yeah, okay, well, this one wasn't a total wash.
Yeah, right. I mean, no nudes, but this is good enough.
Well, you probably got some of Ferguson cleaning himself, so there you go.
Right.
Enjoy.
They got explicit content. It's
not the kind they were looking for. You know, it was really special to put this episode together because animals mean so much to me. Whether it's Fiona the hippo, who I adore, or my love bugs, Ferguson and Rooney, who are with me every single day. It just makes my world better, brighter, fuller, wider, and more full of joy, happiness, love, and so on. And so I don't think that this can be the one and only episode focusing on pets and animals in Best Furevers. So I hope you're along for that ride, that we talk a little bit more about pets in different ways over however long this podcast is going. Let's hope for a really long time. I think as we could hear, as I was talking to my parents and to my friends and hearing the stuff that was sent in by listeners and other podcasters, that animals are more than just animals. We got to remove just or it or referring to them as objects, because they are creatures who, as my dad said, they're here for us to love them, and they love us unconditionally. And yes, animals are still animals, as, you know, Paul pointed out in his letter. And I think it's important to be educated and to think about conservation and think about that just because dogs and cats, for example, are domesticated, that we'll get everything that we want or need from them. But so many of us have been lucky in love and lucky in animals. And I have this magnet. I had to pay for it. I don't even know how much it cost. It didn't matter. It is a magnet with a cat on it. And at the top it says, "There's nothing like the power of a quiet, constant love." And I love that because I think that we talked a lot about companionship, unconditional love, that they're always there for us. And that's what's really important. And as Abby mentioned in her letter, what makes animals unique from humans is they don't pry, they don't lie, and they always know when you need a smile. And I just absolutely love that. Like, let's slap that on a t-shirt. I mean, just so that we can be reminded of it every single day. On the bottom of the magnet, it says, "If we are very lucky, we will have spent some of our life being owned by a cat." And that's what I feel like. I feel like although I love my cats so much, yeah, I'm picking up their poop. Maybe they own me. They got me timed out. They got me waking up at a certain hour to get them fancy feasts. They got me cleaning up their fur balls. But you know what? Every single second is worth it. Every single day is worth it. Every single year is worth it. And I'm so glad I was able to release this on Ferguson's birthday. He has no idea, but hopefully he knows that, and Rooney does. Rooney already knows. She's the queen. But Ferguson, hopefully he knows that there are a lot of people out there that love him and have his little cute nose on a sticker, thanks to Kate Cosgrove, who is my amazing best friend and one of the most talented artists ever. And I just love her work so much. She really brought Ferguson to life. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think that there's so much to take away from pets. There's so many lessons to be learned. There's so much that we learn about ourselves, like with Diana and her Hank. And I just think that it is important for us to share these stories. And it's important to know that animals mean so much to people, that they are therapy, like Lauren said, and that they help us with being introverted and having anxiety, as Lacey mentioned, and so many other people mentioned, that there is so much that animals do for us. And I, again, just ask why, how, when, what, why do we deserve them? It's like we don't deserve them. They're so wonderful. And all those videos on YouTube, send me the gifts and the memes and all the videos. I love them all. And I would say that the Best Furevers Pod Facebook page is probably 90% pet friend videos and memes, and I'm okay with that. So I hope you like what you have in your ear holes. If you like Best Furevers, a podcast for kindred spirits, I'll ask kindly that you subscribe, rate, and review. It means the world to me that you would care as much about friendship as I do, to be able to share it with other people and to let people know what you think of the show. Certainly doing these things like subscribing, rating, reviewing helps other people learn more about the podcast. And since we focus on friendship, it would be wonderful if you share the podcast with a friend. And also, you know me, we spent half the show talking about listener letters. I love to hear your stories, and I love this one in particular about animals because everyone sent photos, and it was freaking fantastic. So please, if you have any stories to share about friendship or you'd like to be on the podcast, please email me at bestforeverspod@gmail.com. And I have a series of surveys about different friendship topics that you can respond to on the webpage at bestforeverspod.com. You can also join Patreon if you would like to join the movement to love on your friendship. If you'd like to support me and the show, then you can pledge on Patreon at patreon.com/bestforeverspod. And on here, there's a bunch of different perks and swag you can get for the different levels of pledging. And there's lots of cool things that I like to do. And I post awesome clips and videos and behind the scenes sorts of things. And there's about 9 different extra clips and interviews and things like that from Sarah and my mom and my dad and just a whole bunch of things that go with just this episode alone. So anyone who pledges $5 or above gets all the extra bonus stuff. Those at the other levels get stickers, letters in the mail, shout outs by me. They get to work with Ferguson as an intern, and also friendship tips of the week. And we do have a new patron, Rachel from the Hallmarkies podcast. Thank you for pledging and becoming our friend with benefit. It means so much to me and Ferguson that you would join this podcast movement, and he is excited to grow his army. And as a fan of Hallmark movies, he is excited that you are joining us, and hope that you can bring a little bit more of Hallmark, as well as my mom would probably, to this podcast. You're doing great things over there, doing great things, and thank you so much. Also new for Ferguson's episode, there is a merchandise. I got merch. And so I always say, well, I don't always say this. This is brand new. So Kate designed the Ferguson logo, so the Best Forevers with Ferguson, and you can now get that on a shirt, a mug, a tote bag, whatever your fancy is. If you go to threadless.com/bestforeverspod, you can check it out. There'll be more merch there. But when Kate was helping me put it on, we were talking about the Missy Elliott song, like, get your freak on. But it's like, get your fur gone, get your fur gone. So everyone get your fur gone, right? Got to spread the love. So I'm really excited about that. And the wonderful Kate Cosgrove is also helping me get, the logo up there as well, and a few other catchphrases and cool stuff to come. So keep your ears open and your eyes open. And speaking of keeping your ears and eyes open, I am scheduled to be on future Heather from Sunshine and Power Cuts podcast, her Sunshine Summit in August 2018. That's this month coming up next because it's still July. Get it together, Alysa. I will be on live Monday, August 13th at 7 p.m. And there is a YouTube link that will be in the show notes as well as posted on all of my social media platforms. So come listen to me and future Heather talk about friendship and connections. Also, what you can find in show notes is any charity or some web pages for conservations and education, as Paul mentioned. So any of that stuff that we talked about in the podcast, any articles that I talked about will be posted in the show notes, so you can check that out. Last thing. So this is a very important date to me. International Friendship Day is August 5th. And August 12th is also a very important day to me in my life. Not exactly the most positive, but it is something that is closely connected to friendship. So that is a week, August 5th to 12th. So we're going to turn International Friendship Day into International Friendship Week from August 5th to August 12th. So if you tweet, Insta, or Facebook me with your Best Forever stickers, or you listening to the podcast, I'll send you the new Best Forever pins that are going to be coming in this week. So that's from August 5th to August 12th. You need to be sure to tag me. You can use the hashtag, hashtag International Friendship Day. No, I got it. International Purple Shirt Day. Holler. Yes, we're finally going to have, it's not just a day, it's a week. Okay. Scratch all that. It's hashtag Purple Shirt Week. Yes, that is it. I can find it. I will be able to see that you tagged me in it. And you can do that on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. And then I will contact you to get your address if I don't already have it. And I will send you some new swag that I got. So until then, my friends, go snuggle with your babies, your fur babies that is, because without their unconditional love, who would we be?